Disney announces its upcoming slate, and Denis Villeneuve fires back at HBO Max as Michael from Retroblasting joins us this morning on Midnight's Edge in the Morning. It's Friday. We made it another week. And what a week it was, indeed. Welcome once again to Midnight's Edge in the Morning. I'm Tom Connors. With me as always is the boss man, Andre. Hello.
Greetings, everyone, and thanks for joining us.
Also joining us is our fifth Beatle, Script Doctor. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Good morning and good afternoon, everybody.
Always glad to have you with us when you can join us. And joining us once again, our very special guest this morning, Michael from Retroblasting. How you doing?
Good. Thank you for having me back. This is going to be a lot of fun. I really love being on Midnight's Edge. Thanks for the invite.
And we love having you as well. And boy, do we have a lot to talk about this morning, so I don't think we should waste too much time. Andre, what a day it was yesterday. I spent all afternoon watching the Disney announcements, and even during Mead, we did a little bit of a live rundown as they were happening for Marvel, and boy, do we have a lot to talk about today.
Indeed, we do. It happened in the middle of my night, but I still caught some tweets and some of the updates that you kept on sending me, and I was like, interesting. But yeah, we're gonna get into it. So it's gonna be a few times.
So I don't know where everybody wants to start on this. Basically, we could probably go down the list as they go here. I mean, they start with Marvel here, so I guess that's as good a place as any.
Yeah, I wanted to just touch upon one thing first, sure. in reference to the editorial that we put out just a couple of hours before when we talked about streaming and HBO Max. One of the things that we said right there was that Warner were hoping, and they really were, that Disney in this presentation, in this investor conference, which is really like a fan expo or like Comic-Con or what have you not, so they were hoping that they would announce that their entire upcoming movie slate would go straight to Disney+. Warner were really, really hoping that they would do this. You know why? Because if they did,
well, they would have Warner, an ally,
yeah, they would no longer be the bad guy of the studio. Right now, everyone in the establishment of Hollywood are focusing all their ire and everything on Warner. They're the bad guy right now.
Yeah, so I think they did this mainly to keep because they saw the way the talent and some of the other people reacted, and I'm sure they just did not want to deal with that blowback right now. And they still got time to change their minds even.
No, I think that they were happy to deal with the blowback, at least to some effect. But they figured that, you know what, the best thing that we can do right now to damage our competition in Warner and HBO Max as much as possible is just to stay quiet and pretend that we're still all aboard on the theatrical experience and everything, while the rest of the industry has its way with Warner. And all the talent, everyone gets pissed off at them. We still have several months down the line for them to get used to it. And then when we put Black Widow straight on Disney Plus, then the heat's off us. So I think they're thinking that way, which strategically is pretty brilliant.
I think you're onto something to a point, but there's one little thing. That is, I really do think Disney is hoping to God that theaters are open by May, because they do need theaters more than AT&T does. Like AT&T is just like whatever, and we'll get into that probably more if we get to the Denis Villeneuve stuff. But like, I really do feel like they are hoping and banking on theaters being open, because I actually read another article somewhat related to this, but not really. It actually came out before the investor meeting, and it basically said that they won't be seeing any kind of profit for Disney Plus, and that's if they continue to see the growth at the rate they're at until 2024, with all the money they've spent already.
Yeah, they're very much in debt.
Yeah.
Disney is massively in debt.
So I really think they're hoping that theaters are still open for Black Widow and a couple of their other big movies that they're still planning, like Indiana Jones 5 and a few others we'll talk about here in the next hour or so.
I'm sure, but not as much as they hope to be on top when the streaming war ends, because there's so much more money in it right now. And right now, they're like restructuring themselves to be a streaming company, and we kind of like see that in the announcement that was yesterday, or rather the announcements, I should say. Because there were many of them. So Script, do you have anything to add to what I just said, to my thoughts that Disney are, if the situation persists like it is for a few more months, they're still going to put Black Widow day and date on Disney Plus in theaters. But just to screw with Warner, they're not going to announce it now.
I kind of agree with that. The other part, too, is something to note is this Disney presentation was pre-recorded, most of it at least, like 99% of it. So they pretty much had to either commit to it or get everybody back to do an update with regards to their theatrical releases if they wanted to set in line with Warner Brothers. And I think they took the little bit of time they had and said, you know what, we'll just commit to this because we can always change it at a later date. And then we can at least have the focus be on the new content that we're launching over the next 3 to 4 years. Because all this type of, this was not a live broadcast, and I think they were supposed to originally drop this the day before, if my memory serves.
Actually, this was a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, or at least.
So they spent their time really considering what to do, because they were probably thinking, we might have to do an addendum to some of these things and say we have to go on Disney Plus. And then Warner Brothers did their HBO Max thing. They saw the recourse and they're like, you know what? No, we're not going to do that. We're just going to stick to the plan for now. At least the investors will be very pleased with that goal, saying that we're hopeful for all the new reopenings that might be happening come spring of 2021. And they decide to ride with it. And it's I would say strategically it's kind of good for now, because it does take the hate away from Disney. But Warner Brothers, from my perspective, for AT&T and them, they are probably loving this hate because it's a lot more attention than what they've been getting all year. And I think they're going to ride with it.
Mm-hmm. Well, before we do get started here, Zontar sent in a Canadian $2 and says, HBO's Bombshell was a nuke and Disney's was a dud. Well, in a way, yeah. I think we'll get into that a little bit, but at the same time, I think Disney played it safe, like Andre was saying, too. That can't be ignored. Culture Casino sends in a $1.49 super sticker. Let me see what it is.
It's a unicorn with the rainbow colors and everything.
There we go. All right. And then we also, thank you so much, Culture Casino. And then we also got one from Mr. Tickle Trunk himself. He sends in a, let's see here. I think it skips over one or two. Nope.
Yeah, no. It's another super sticker.
Oh, yeah,
and it's
super
like
sticker.
a little teddy bear or something that comes running towards you. Cute one.
Gotcha.
There.
Okay.
Yeah, so thanks so much. And then he also has a super chat, which I think is very prophetic of what we are about to cover.
Oh, okay, I'll read it. Can't wait for the inevitable Porkins and Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru spinoff show. Did it really not let you write Porkins? Disney has no shame, and they're clearly in panic mode. I think there is a little bit to that. I think we'll get into that as we get going along here. Frank Harris sends in $5. How do you think Jon Favreau is feeling with the success of The Mandalorian becoming Kathleen's success? I think that's another point we'll probably get into once we get to the Star Wars stuff.
Very typical of producers.
Yeah. Tiberius Monk says, Lord Mickey out there flexing after this conference. A little bit, but I do feel like I think Andre's onto something that they're kind of just playing things close to the chest right now. Harry Partridge Live sends in £5, says, big love for Retroblasting and Midnight's Edge. Oh, yes. I'm so glad to have Michael back here again on Midnight's Edge. It's always a blast to have Retroblasting with us.
Literally, yeah.
Zing!
Yeah, love the dad jokes already at 11 o'clock in the morning or noon or whatever time it is where you're at. Laser Band sends in $4.99. Two of my favorite channels. How you doing, fellas? Speaking of, well, thank you for joining us, and we're glad to have you all here that are in the chat right now listening. And I think we'll catch up on some more of the super chats after a little bit here. What do you think, Andre? Should we get into this?
Yeah, we'll get into this and we'll catch up with some more super
Absolutely.
chats.
So
first, let's get into all the goodness.
Let's start with Marvel. Marvel was a little late in the announcement. Actually, we covered the Marvel bit live yesterday on Midnight's Edge After Dark. WandaVision was the first thing to have a trailer. Now, some of these things got trailers that were only exclusive to the investors. And some of these things were live. So we got to see some of them we didn't. Some of them came online later. But for the most part, there were some things that we just did not get to see unless you were an investor. that had access to them. So, first off, we did get to see, though, a new trailer for WandaVision. I don't know if Andre got a chance to watch it, but we did.
I did. I've seen them all.
Okay, yeah.
It was kind of like geo-blocked for a little while there, but, hey, Surfshark. So, yeah.
And if you type in midnight, you get a special deal. But yeah, so what did you think of the WandaVision trailer? Let's start with you, Andre.
I will say that up until this point, I have not been interested in WandaVision in the slightest. Not in the slightest. This trailer right here made me a tiny little bit interested. I was going to say I look forward to it, but I'll check it out. That's the best I can say for it. So, it got me from 0 to a tiny little bit interested.
All right, that's fair. Michael?
I watched it twice, trying to process what I was watching, and I feel like there's a bit of Truman Show in it. There's a bit of Pleasantville's DNA, trying to mix that into the Marvel thing, make it almost like a certain kind of lighter Twilight Zone fare. While I appreciate that they're exploring and playing with the Marvel genre a little bit in this sense, like Andre, I've just not been interested in this direction for this sub series. I've seen what happens to Wanda and Vision already, so I really don't want to go back and watch a prequel series that's going to run up to it somehow. And
I'm not sure if this is a prequel though.
Oh, you think it's a multiverse thing?
Yeah, I think that I don't know if you saw the trailer that was previous to this.
I think I know what it is. Yeah, having read the comics, I think I know what this is.
Okay, so
it is multiverse connected, though. You are right about that.
Okay,
and I believe it's Wanda either getting in her own head or somebody else's head, or even Vision's head possibly, or his whatever it is. But regardless how that happens, the whole thing is a multiverse thing, and I'm pretty sure this is going to tie into Doctor Strange, which is going to tie into Spider-Man and down the road.
I see. Okay. Yeah.
All right. If I may, in the comics, which stone is it that Vision has again? Like in his
Mind Stone.
Mind Stone.
Yeah. Because I don't recall if it was a Mind Stone or Soul Stone or whatever, but basically in the comics, one of the stones is probably this one. You could travel inside of it. You wouldn't literally be inside of the stone, but you would be in the realm of the stone. And this was like a separate reality where you wouldn't necessarily know that you were inside of a different reality on another plane of existence.
Well, and it also appears other people are in there too.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what they're going for here, that one way or the other, it's a little bit Truman Show-like. Yeah, that's indeed right. And I think that the revelation is going to be that they're in the soul stone, in the Mind Stone, if that's what it is. I think that's what they're going to go for, because that's the moment that I got interested, because when I saw all these I Love Lucy, Leave It to Beaver kind of stuff, I was like, what the hell is this? And I know there's going to be some twist.
It's probably interfering with TV waves or something, is my guess.
Yeah, but it doesn't have my interest. But then in the most recent trailer, you have a brief flash of the stone, and that signaled to me, okay, that's where we are.
Well, I'll take you even further, Andre. I think all these are going to connect some way, because there's stuff that was in the Loki trailer that also connected to things with the stones. Obviously, he has the Tesseract, but I'm pretty sure we saw Black Widow in that trailer, insinuating she still may be alive inside the stone. So I'm wondering if all the people we're seeing in, and again, this is me speculating, all the people seeing in WandaVision are possibly people who were snapped into, and when they were snapped out of existence, they all got put into the Mind Stone.
Yeah.
Is what I think happened, or whatever. Because there's something like that in the comics. I can't remember the exacts. If you remember,
it's something like that. It's something like that.
Or the Soul Stone. That's what it was. I think it was. But yeah.
I'm sure they can switch that around for the movies if they feel like.
But no, that was because Loki sees her from behind, and I'm like, okay, I'm not going to do the Walter Goggins clip, but I effing said that like a year ago. I bet you all these series are going to be about what they did with the stones and how they all lead up to it, because we even got a brief shot of, I believe, Captain America in the Loki one, and the Loki one really kind of fired me up. Let's talk about that one real quick. Did you see the trailer for that, guys?
Yeah.
Michael, did you see that one?
I did, but I don't have as many thoughts on that one as I have a feeling you guys do. So I will give you all the floor.
Okay. Andre, I'm curious to hear what you thought, because like I was looking forward to Loki, and then I mean, we kind of already knew this was what it was going to kind of be about. But again, when I saw that trailer, that one's probably the one I got the most amped for, as far as like getting a big like reaction out of me.
Yeah, me too. The Loki series, that's the one that I was looking forward to the whole time. Ever since they announced their initial Disney Plus slate, I was like, man, nothing here I really care about, apart from Loki. That's going to be badass. And now, having seen the trailer, I look forward to it even more. So, yeah, brilliant. Bring it. Can't wait for it.
And
that's
I also
the one
have
thing I look forward to.
Something to send you after we're done here. I forgot all about it. I got some leaks for Thor: Love and Thunder.
Oh, nice.
And they were pretty much all confirmed by a lot of the stuff we saw in this trailer and some other things. So I'm going to send those to you. And just a brief possible spoiler, folks, so plug your ears. This is going to lead into that. This version of Loki is the one that's in Love and Thunder. So... just so you know.
Yeah, well, we kind of figured that, didn't we?
I know, but I just want to, just in case anybody didn't want to know. So, yeah. I'm sure everybody's unplugged their ears by now.
The original one, he's like gone. So obviously, it's like this one here that we're going to be kind of like Harry Kim in Voyager.
So, yeah. And then we also got, how did you feel about it, Script? Sorry.
I dug it because it brought in some of the things from the comic books that I was familiar with, but didn't get a whole chance to explore because finding those issues was difficult as a kid at the time. But it's got some cool time traveling, questing for object vibe to it, which I dig, and I like the fact that it's Loki right after the first Avengers film. Like that's the type of Loki we're gonna get. A guy who's probably a little bitter he failed. Is probably still a not conniving aspect of him. He hasn't been through Thor 2 or any of the other films yet. So yeah, we're going to get that type of interpretation of Loki, and I'm excited for that.
All right.
And there was one more thing that I have to say about Loki, because in the Norse mythology, and I mean like the actual Norse mythology, there is one of the yarns there, or one of like the myths stories, if you will, is called Thrymskvida. And in it, Loki is up to his usual mischief, and whenever he is offered something, or basically something is going to be to his benefit, he responds with this one word, "Elskverdig," and it means something along the lines of how lovable of you to do me this favor. How elskverdig. And this is kind of like a thing that I was like thinking when I was watching this trailer after having seen the entire rest of their slate that Disney is planning for us. I was like thinking, how elskverdig of them to give us all of this stuff to cover. Because of all the ridiculous that is to come here. So
like we've only gotten so far, and we're only 20 minutes.
No, we just this was the highlight. It's all downhill from here.
For the most part, yes, you are correct. So then we got to look at the Winter Soldier and Falcon, and that looked like we kind of predicted it would. I do like Falcon's new outfit, but outside of that, that's the only one that's more of a sequel of the bunch, other than possibly WandaVision. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. What did you guys think of that one?
I'm a big fan of the Captain America series of cinematic films, and I like the way that he was roped into all that. I also really, because of that and the way they were written so well, I liked all of the peripheral characters too, including Falcon. I didn't have a problem with Falcon taking on the mantle of Captain America at the end of Endgame. I had other problems with Endgame, but that wasn't one of them. And while I would be very interested to watch a Falcon Winter Soldier series because they were such a good dynamic in Civil War and in Infinity War and Endgame, the Disney Plus firewall for me is where I'm like, look, guys, I'd really be interested in watching your stuff, but as you know, I don't sign on to Disney Plus. So don't want to feed that beast. So I'm hoping, even though it's hope beyond hope, that they will do disc sets of some of their content. I know they won't. So in the meantime, I guess Tim and Aaron on my crew will probably be forcing me to sign onto their accounts and watch these shows in the interim. But I really like to.
You and Rob should have a talk. I know that you will have plenty of stories to share about being forced to seeing stuff you don't.
Yeah, it's I want to. That's one of the shows that I would like to see, but I'll have to wait until it's either on disc or Tim or Aaron forces me to. So
gotcha. Mm-hmm. So that mean you haven't watched Mandalorian yet?
I've watched some episodes of Mandalorian because Tim forced me down into a chair and forced me to watch it. I don't hate it or anything. And that's the thing that people get confused about. They're like, you must hate it because you're not watching it. And I'm like, no, I'm not watching it because I don't want to pay Disney money every month.
No, and that's totally fair. And actually, hey, like kind of like here, we pretty much, we have like one account for everybody. So we don't try not to feed the beast anymore, and we have to. It's a company account,
Yeah, and that's what Tim is pretty much. That's what he's become for Retroblasting. He's the guy with the Disney Plus account,
the company account. There you
go. Exactly. Yeah.
Well, and then moving on, Script. Did you want to say anything about Falcon or Winter Soldier or Andre?
Other than I thought it looks pretty neat. I'm curious. Didn't do anything to wave me off. That's a good thing.
What I will say about it is that I didn't care about Falcon and Winter Soldier before. And now, having seen the trailer, I still don't care about Falcon and Winter Soldier. So it's like I may have to see it out of sheer obligation if it connects to stuff that I want to see, like Loki. But if that's sufficiently standalone that it can be, ignored, then that's what I'm inclined to do.
I think that's what I was getting at before, more so is like this one seems like the least connected with anything going forward, probably, but I could be wrong, so we'll have to see. The other one was announced was Hawkeye. We did get a short look at that. It was mostly behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah, we have like some set photos of stuff of Renner and Haley Steinfeld. That's like on set and everything.
Yeah, then that's all it was the video of that. So, I mean, I don't know if anybody really wants to chime in on that. I mean, I'm kind of like, meh. I know, Andre, you've wanted Hawkeye to die for years.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
you might get your wish.
Hawkeye I found Hawkeye to be engaging in Age of Ultron, and there were a few other moments toward the end of the original 4 phases of the MCU. I don't loathe the character, but I do understand the jokes that he fades into the background. I do understand why that he's the butt of the jokes. I love some of the fun they poked at him. I believe it was in Deadpool or Deadpool 2 as well, and it's deserved because they took Hawkeye, who was already in the actual comic book continuity a sort of underpowered Batman character when compared to everybody else in the Avengers, and then they said, you know what else we're going to do? We're going to strip away his costume that makes him unique too. We're going to make him just the most basic looking, tactical movie dude.
Born with arrows, basically.
Yes, born with arrows. Yeah, born legacy with arrows. And that doesn't help his situation as a character in that dynamic. It's like, guys, he was already on the back foot with the rest of the Avengers in this mythology. And you've literally just made it almost impossible for the audience to connect with him. So,
well, and I think, Andre's thing is like, I think they did a total disservice to him in letting him live in Age of Ultron because you set him up there perfectly for the kill.
Yeah, exactly.
And from that point on, it's like he could have played into Civil War more, like being like, hey, this was a person who did not have superpowers and he got killed as a result of these superpower hero wars. Maybe we should look into this, and that kind of would have added more to the Civil War element, I think. But again, it's just one of those silly things that just never.
As for me, like leading into Age of Ultron, I was like so emotionally connected to Black Widow because she was so good in the first Avengers that I didn't want her to die. And prior to that movie opening, we were told that a character, an Avenger, is going to die. And then I was like thinking, okay, like all of these others here, they're too important. They have their standalone moves and stuff like that. So it's either Black Widow or it's Hawkeye. And of the two, I'm very happy to see Hawkeye go because it doesn't really do anything. So then suddenly I found myself, it was like weird. As I was seeing Age of Ultron, I found myself rooting for Hawkeye to die so that Black Widow may live. So you can let's just say that I had an issue with Avengers Endgame.
It didn't trick me, but I mean, I understood. Like, I knew it was going to be probably Quicksilver or Black Widow for the very reason that they kept setting it up that he was.
I think it was too obvious that it was going to be Quicksilver. I was like thinking,
oh no, I was the other way with Hawkeye. I figured they were setting it up to be too obvious for Hawkeye.
Yeah. And you evidently were right. But basically because of that, whenever I've seen him since, I've been like, why aren't you dead yet?
Well, and the reason I felt that is because they actually gave him a bunch of story time in the jokes, and when they usually do that to a character, especially when they haven't given any screen time to, that's generally when they're going to kill somebody. But I'm like, okay, so they're up to something here. Like, yeah. Anyway, moving on though, we also got a look at the What If series, which does look interesting. Again, for those who may not know what it is, it's just a what if. One or two things happened in the MCU and this happened instead. One example is like Peggy Carter becoming Captain Britain or whatever, I think it was, and stuff like that, and zombies and all that kind of good stuff. All the
it's
weird
going to be
stuff.
What if she got the superhero serum or something? It's going to be like the angle they're going with, I'm sure.
And now here's where I wouldn't care if they did like a lot of those kind of stories. Like that's what this kind of a series is meant for. Instead of actually doing that kind of a thing in a regular comic book series, that's when you do the what ifs. Like, I always love what if stories. I mean, I have no problems with those because they're usually just one-offs anyway. So,
you know what the funny thing is? That the what if comics of the 70s, 80s, the like really wild, out there, outlandish concepts, they've done them all in the comics and the mainstream ones the last 10 years.
I know, that's kind of what I was getting at, like, roundabout way, but you're right. That's the problem. I normally don't have an issue in it. In fact, there's some of them that are really great stories, even non-Marvel related. Because, I mean, my first What If was the Star Wars series from early to late 90s, somewhere in there. Whenever they did those, the what ifs for the first 3 Star Wars films.
Yeah, where they kind of like went back and said, what if the original scripts had been used instead of the first drafts instead of
no, not those. Those are cool too. But what I'm talking about, like the first one, it starts at the very end of Star Wars, but it's like, what if they didn't blow up the Death Star?
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
And then the other one was, what if Luke died, but Leia was the chosen one then? And then I can't remember what they did for Jedi, but yeah, those were like, I think mid-90s they did those. That was my first introduction to a what if kind of idea of something.
You see how funny that was? That was also repeated later. What does that tell you? They're out of ideas today.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, if they did this what if thing, I think the most courageous thing Disney could do, because I know that they've, not to jump ahead, but I've heard that they're announcing a Fantastic Four movie as well or something, but it would be funny if the first what if was the first what if, which is what if Spider-Man joined the Fantastic Four? And they just did that to introduce the Fantastic Four crew and cast into the MCU, even though it doesn't count. And then they went on and did the official MCU Fantastic Four movie. See, that to me, that's courage. Like that's, but I don't think they do that. So.
Yeah, and I think Daddy Dreet has the best what if. What if Disney didn't ruin Star Wars?
Nice one. Very nice one.
Yeah, you guys got a couple of good ones in the chat there.
Yeah, absolutely. Like my favorite what if are like the 2 first Conan ones. They were amazing. Like the first was like, what if Conan...
the modern day one or whatever?
Yeah, exactly. Like what if Conan suddenly walked the earth today? And then he's like shipped from the Hyborian age to like 1977 when that comic was made, and it's pretty awesome. And then he makes it back in the second one.
Haven't we seen that in either Beastmaster 2?
Yes, Beastmaster 2. Yeah, which I still argue is an underrated film.
I have to see the sequels at some point. Was there
You've never seen? Yeah, there was even a TV series. The third film, I think, was after the TV series, if I'm not mistaken, but they all do connect from my recollection. Yeah. But that second film is so cheesy and fun that all I do remember about it is that I do remember enjoying it quite a bit after I saw it. I'm like, it was a lot better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, it's hard to find. I don't know why it's so out of release, but
yeah, it's really difficult to find. I've looked.
I don't even know if there's a DVD of it anywhere, to be honest.
No, there's like some European DVD releases and stuff, I think, but they're really shit quality.
That's what I'm saying. I think they're all video rips or something like that. But yeah, like I've never found a good version of it. But my new version from Arrow, I think, is on the way for the first film, though. That just got re-released. But anyway, moving on here, Feige also talked about Ironheart.
Yeah, we didn't comment on What If.
We did.
Yeah.
Oh, we weren't finished?
We did talk about it, but we didn't say our opinions. Guys, how excited are you for What If?
Oh, I kind of thought I said I did already. I'm fine with it. What about you guys, Michael?
I mean, I wasn't really that big a reader of the What If comics when I was a kid collecting comics because I knew that they weren't. I only had so much pocket money. And so it was like, well, I've got to keep going with the continuity of what I'm collecting. If I go and buy this and I know it doesn't count for anything, it might be fun. And I know that makes me sound like a very unimaginative child. But my point in saying that is I'm glad that they're doing it as a series because I think we need some variety and some creativity in these franchises. But like I'm more interested in other things that they're working on. This is just, it's a nice to see. It's not going to be something I'm going to just run out and watch.
Right. Like it's nice. It's a surprise kind of thing. Oh, I got a nice dessert with whatever it was I really was after. But yeah. Script.
I'm kind of in the same vein. I mean, I like the potential of these cartoon or animated alternate stories. And I think it's like the cherry on top of the ice cream, a little frosting on the cake. There you go.
That's a better,
something
better
nice,
analogy,
but it's not, it's more like a fun afterthought as opposed to a hearty meal or something.
And I think the fact that it's animated helps you take it less serious. I don't know about you guys, but
that does help. I mean, it can make it a kind of weird anthology series in animation where it kind of stands alone, and you can just watch those stories perpetually. See, I'm an old school. I keep visualizing like a disc set when it's all said and done, which I know is not going to happen.
I know I hope for your sake and others. I know.
Because I'd put that on my shelf. I'd be like, I got the What If complete series. Yeah,
I know, right? We can hope, but I don't know. The first thing we actually see on disc that's a Disney Plus original besides Mulan, I'll be surprised.
Agreed.
So anyway, because I'm surprised actually they didn't do the first season of Mandalorian before the second one came out. Stuffed with coupons for Disney Plus.
Yeah, that they didn't only shows us that it's not going to happen.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, the fact that we didn't, that just kind of tells me that. Yeah. And then, okay, so moving on, or unless you have anything else to say about
final thing is that, because I saw the trailer, and I agree with you. Like, I was actually interested in the series before I saw the trailer, and ironically, the trailer made me less interested.
I don't like the animation style. I'm not a fan of that between 2D and 3D animation. To me, it's like pick one. Like that reminds me of those cheap morning cartoons my kids used to watch, and it's just like,
where they mix some clunky 3D in with the 2D.
There was a Spider-Man series they did that for a while too, and it just didn't.
Yeah, where every time he swung through the city, suddenly the city was like 3D and blocky, and
Anyhow, then he did announce Riri Williams series, which yay! I don't know who's excited for that besides Riri Williams.
I know who's excited for it.
All the YouTubers,
the same people who are excited for the comics, namely the people who won't read it,
crickets.
But are glad that it's there.
Yeah, crickets. Nobody cares. Like, I'm not even going to get into this whole thing, but EVS and Cecil said it best. If you find that cartoon, they said it best when it comes to characters like that. So I'm not going to repeat all that here. But then we got Armor Wars, which actually did sound interesting and kind of came out of nowhere.
It came out of Norway. Yeah, that would
Norway. It came out of Norway. Yeah. No, Don Cheadle will star as War Machine once again in a show about Tony Stark's ultimate nightmare. What if his technology fell into the wrong hands?
What do you mean, Hammer Tech or whatever they were called?
Yeah.
Crimson Dynamo, like done properly?
Possibly. So yeah, I mean, we didn't get much about it, but yeah. Anybody? Anything?
Yeah.
Anybody?
Yeah. Retroblasting. How excited are you for an Iron Man spin-off or another Iron Man spin-off series, also without Iron Man? Second one.
Yeah, I loved Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. I liked his character arc. I wasn't upset that he died at the end, even though I know that these comic book characters always live on in the actual print books, and so some people were upset that they killed him off. But it's a movie, it has to have an arc. It's been going on for 10 years, whatever it was. As far as War Machine is concerned, all that kind of got muddy and messed up when they recast him to Don Cheadle. Yeah, early on.
Yeah.
And then they didn't really give. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, sorry. Just carry on. I'll say it afterwards.
No, I was just saying they didn't really give him enough screen time after that. And so, like, yeah, he had a part in Iron Man 2, but then after that, it was almost like cameos. It was like, oh, he's here, then he's there. And so in one sense, I wouldn't mind seeing some series that fleshes that out. In another sense, Iron Man 2 and 3 really, exhausted my fuel tank on the whole Iron Man mythology. And so I could take it or leave it, I guess is what I'm saying. If they put it out there and someone puts it in front of me, I'm not going to be like kicking and screaming trying to run away. Right. But I'm also not, somebody that's going to race over there and sit down and watch it unless somebody tells me it's really compelling, like, oh yeah, it gets into more of the government stuff, and he's a military guy in the suit, and so he has a completely different take on it than Tony Stark. And if they take it in a different tonal direction, then maybe that could entice me to watch it. I don't know. I'm not opposed to it, but I'm not rabid for it.
Right. Yeah, I'm kind of there too. Like, I'm not a fan of like Batman shows without Batman or Superman shows without Superman, so I'm not real keen on the idea of an Iron Man show without Iron Man, but Don Cheadle as, Rhodey has been established. I don't mind. I didn't really care about the character change as much as some people did. I didn't think he was that well established in the first place to where it mattered.
Oh yeah, I wasn't saying that I was mad about.
No. But I do understand some people who are.
There's just been. I'm saying there's just been chaos since the beginning around that character.
Chaos, oh, absolutely,
and underdevelopment.
But yeah, I totally agree with you. Like, after he got recast, he kind of got shoved to the side. Outside of Civil War, what else has he had to do?
Yeah.
Like, and then I kind of look at him like I feel sorry for him because, oh, sure, the white boy can walk now because he went to Wakanda, but Don Cheadle's still stuck, right, half paralyzed. But no, like, that's the only reason I'm interested in it is because he's involved. If it wasn't for that, I could care less. Andre?
Yeah, that brings us nicely to my point. I couldn't care less because I'm one of those people that actually never got over the recasting of Terrence Howard with Don Cheadle. Now, Don Cheadle, he's a very good actor, great actor, absolutely. I love him in many, many other things, but I have never been able to accept him as Rhodey. Reason for that is simply because, yeah, I know that Terrence Howard, he was apparently a pain in the ass on set, and he demanded more money and yada, yada, yada. But I completely bought into him and Tony Stark being friends. Whereas every single time I see Robert Downey Jr. and Don Cheadle together on screen, I'm very aware that I'm watching acting. Like, I do not believe that they're friends. I do not buy into the friendship. It isn't there. It doesn't click. So Don Cheadle, he's a very, very good actor, but I think that he was wrong for that particular part, in that, for one thing, he looks nothing like Terrence Howard. And for the other, he just doesn't click with Robert Downey Jr. So
I can't argue that point, but
if they had to recast, couldn't they have found someone like Cuba Gooding Jr. or something?
Somebody else just said that in the chat, yeah. But here's my argument: is I didn't buy him in the first place. Like, here's my problem with Terrence Howard. To me, I didn't buy him as a military man. Now, Cheadle, on the other hand, I can buy more as a military man, but I totally can't argue with the chemistry aspect.
Yeah, and that's what I mean.
See, so like it's a one less of the other, I guess, or however you put it.
Exactly. Like I agree that I can buy Don Cheadle as a military man, but I could buy Terrence Howard as Tony's friend. And of the two, if I had to choose, the interpersonal chemistry between them is more important than me being able to buy him as a military man. For that reason, just knowing what we missed right there, that has never sat right with me. And as you say, you are interested because of Don Cheadle. And that's the only thing. Well, that's one thing that I don't have, which is why this series right here couldn't care less.
Yeah, and I can't argue with that. So, like, again, and there's no time to really argue about it anyway. So
Yeah,
script. Let's get your take on it, and then we're going to have to skim through these next few here to where we can get through some of this before we get too long in the tongue here, or teeth, or tooth,
yeah,
or
with
whatever
the armor
the hell
wars
I'm trying to
and
say.
with the armor wars and the Ironheart stuff, yeah, it's I could take it or leave it. It doesn't matter. They haven't given me a pitch that makes me want to watch either of these shows yet. So, I mean, Tony Stark's worst nightmare, and you don't get to have Tony Stark experience it. That's kind of a rob. So,
yeah, it's like how many people have had their worst nightmares or like their legacy ruined and stuff after they're no longer there to protect it? I mean, look no longer than Walt Disney himself.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Or, yeah, if Lucas is still alive, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, moving on, we got a quick look at, well, not really a look at, but the final confirmation for She-Hulk as far as the casting. We also know that Mark Ruffalo is set to appear. I don't know if anybody wants to bring anything up about that. I was not really.
Well, we have another one that is set to appear in She-Hulk, and that's like the only thing that has me interested.
What was that one?
This is a slight spoiler, so everyone that does not want spoiler, like, stick your fingers in your ears right now. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Blonsky will be back. The Abomination will be back.
Oh yes,
She-Hulk.
that's right.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I forgot about
Tim
that.
Roth.
Yeah. And that's the only thing that I'm excited for, because the series is written by
She-Hulk herself.
Yeah, no, by Dana Schwartz, and let's just say that.
Well, she's a staff writer. Dana's the staff writer. The showrunner is someone else.
Oh, okay. Oh well. So there may be hope then.
There may be hope. Yeah.
Okay.
If you hear any sort of cringy dialogue from like a character that's kind of like a one-off, that's probably Dana's contribution.
Yeah, or like if She-Hulk is like, yeah, I don't need no man and no woman should, then that's probably her contribution, right?
Which is the exact opposite of She-Hulk as a character.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Michael, anything from you about She-Hulk?
I actually collected the John Byrne comic growing up, coincidentally enough. However, because of that, the environment that we're presently in with entertainment, it could very well lend itself to a hilarious, self-aware series with She-Hulk because of the John Byrne legacy of the comic. Unfortunately, I don't believe that Disney, of all people, is brave enough to do that. I do not believe that Disney is brave enough to do socio-political satire with She-Hulk in a Marvel context, which made the first few years of the John Byrne relaunch of She-Hulk award-winning. But I don't think Disney has that even in mind, and that's truly a shame, because that would be an entertaining deconstruction of what we've had to go through the last 4 or 5 years with entertainment.
I agree. That would be amazing. But imagine the hell that they would get from from the very people that they have decided to target as an audience.
Right. So it'll just be more vanilla pablum is what it'll be.
Well, exactly. If you take a look at the writer staff, none of them are capable of any type of social satire. So they probably don't even know who Jonathan Swift is.
Yeah, they probably don't.
I mean, these writers are people that you need social satire about, but they're not aware enough to write it themselves. You need others to look at them and say, okay, I just act normally so we can observe and make fun of you.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you should have like that writer's room and then have a real writer observe and do the greatest sitcom ever afterwards.
It could be an award-winning She-Hulk adaptation from that, late 80s, early 90s comic. Could be an award-winning effort, but they don't have the courage or the sack to do it.
You could still do an award-winning documentary in behind the writer's room of She-Hulk. I mean, that would probably be much more entertaining than the original one. But
yeah, it'll be like the documentary on the DVD of episode 1. It's like the beginning. The documentary is more entertaining than the movie.
I totally agree with that.
It would remind me of, those guys that do all the stunt choreography and they comment on like the terrible stuff. I just consider like myself and a bunch of other writers I know, like in that vein, watching their writer's room and just saying, what the heck are they doing? Why are they talking about this subject when it has nothing to do with the story?
Yeah.
All right. Then we also learned the cast for Ms. Marvel was finalized and she's going to show up in Captain Marvel 2. Whoop-de-doo. Like anybody wanted a Captain Marvel 2.
They also shot a bunch of it too, but I was surprised.
Yeah.
So there's now a Captain Marvel and a Miss Marvel, even though they took Miss Marvel and made that character Captain Marvel for the Captain Marvel Part 1. Okay, whatever. Fine.
Like Andre said before.
They gave her a rank. That's pretty much what they did.
Yeah. And unless anybody else has anything to say about that, the less said, the better. And then we learned what the Nick Fury series was going to be. That is going to be a Skrull series. What was the name of it again?
Secret Invasion.
That's right.
It introduces Sword, which is the counter to S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yes, and I believe that also is going to tie into the other thing we were talking about earlier as well. Love and Thunder.
Captain Marvel. That's where like that thing was introduced. And for me, I don't care about this series because it was introduced in Captain Marvel. I want to write off everything associated with that movie.
Yeah, unless, of course, I find out that the leader of Sword is David Hasselhoff, in which case I'll give it a chance.
Alternate universe Nick Fury.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. The other thing that we did get announcements for, one is an animated series for Guardians called I Am Groot, about Baby Groot. So those who enjoy the baby stuff will enjoy that one. I'm sure that one's probably going to be aimed more younger kids. The other announcement from that was filming alongside Guardians of the Galaxy 3 and premiering before it comes out will be the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, a live-action special directed by James Gunn. I'm looking forward to this. I don't know about you guys, but of course
I think it's going to make fun of the Star Wars Holiday Special to a point.
Probably. And that's just because, Guardians 1 and 2 are like two of my top Marvel movies. So, I'm obviously looking forward to this. Michael or Andre? Go ahead, Andre.
No, Michael, you take it first.
I was just going to say that I know that James Gunn and even Jon Favreau have great affinity for the Holiday Special. They're of that age. I'm like sort of the tail end cusp of Gen X. They're earlier Gen X, and so the Holiday Special resonates with them a lot more. I've seen it. I own it. I think it'll be funny to watch. It could be a good, send up of the Star Wars Holiday Special with the right team of Marvel characters, which Guardians slots in there perfectly. If they can get Deadpool in there, even better. But yeah, I'm not opposed to watching something like that.
We've got to get Groot home for Growth Day.
Oh, God.
Oh, I can totally see Peter Quill saying, Life Day was awesome.
I just want to see a multi-armed Deadpool trying to bake a cake. That's what I want to see.
I'm going to get that guy's home.
As for me, I am really, really looking forward to it. That's like the most exciting thing here almost was more James Gunn Guardians of the Galaxy. Awesome. Bring it.
Yeah.
I'll if we don't get a fourth movie, and maybe we will at some point, but if we don't, I'll absolutely take a Christmas special. The more the merrier. Bring it.
Well, they may be showing up somewhere else too, but I'll bring that up to you later after the show. But we've got to get moving on. We did get some announcements for Marvel Films as well. They did announce that they will not recast Black Panther, but then on top of that, they of course announced they're going to do Black Panther 2 because they've got no tact. I don't know if anybody wants to talk about that.
I can give another possible spoiler for what they're apparently going to do. This is courtesy of Mikey Sutton, who has been proven right quite a lot lately,
especially in the last couple days.
With all of the Spider-Man news and stuff like that. Like if you go back and you watch our videos from May, June, when we first started covering Mikey Sutton, you'll find that, hey, this is exactly the kind of things that we said that he reported on. Well, that's what we've now got confirmation of the Spider-Verse and all of that. So, yeah, good stuff. And basically, according to him, the plan for Black Panther 2 is to make Shuri the new Black Panther, with the actors and everything. So, what that's going to mean for T'Challa, if he also is no longer with us behind the scenes, or if he's retired or something, I do not know. I would guess the former, but apparently Shuri is going to be the
which is weird because they were actually, that was the rumor way before he sadly passed away. But yeah, like I just thought it was kind of poor. They should have just
Marvel would have known. They would have known in advance that
probably.
Yeah.
I have a real problem with this because as some friends of mine discussed, not in a public forum, but online socially. There's a established precedent for recasting characters out of necessity when an actor becomes unavailable, or in this case, tragically passes away. And we just talked about how they recast War Machine. They've had how many actors play Batman? How many actors play Superman? With Black Panther having only had really one outing and then a few appearances in larger Marvel films, I do not see the justification for doing this necessarily. I feel like yes, Chadwick Boseman set the tone for the character perfectly, and it's a tragedy that he's gone. But I think Black Panther as a character deserves more screen time in the MCU. I don't understand the reticence to just move on unless it's just Disney looking at this as a convenient opportunity to do what they were wanting to do. I'm not trying to, drum up or stoke.
No, I'll say it. This is happening because Black Panther was one of their biggest hits. That's why.
Right.
And I mean, I'm kind of with you, Michael. I'd rather have them either just recast the character or not do any more.
Exactly.
Like at least for the duration of the MCU. You can do another one a couple years later, down the road once the MCU is kind of dissipated and gone its own different direction or started over, what have you.
And I see Daddy Dreet here saying Shuri is Black Panther in the comics. I get that. That's all well and good, but it was many decades before Shuri ended up being Black Panther in the comics. And we've barely had any time with the original Black Panther in the film series. I feel like this incident combined with this timing deserves a little bit of a recast to give us a little bit more before the mantle is passed to Shuri. And again, you don't have to agree with me out there in the internet, but that's just how I feel about it.
Yeah.
I understand perfectly why they're doing what they're doing. One thing is that Boseman tragically will not be able to do that, and if they were to recast, I don't know. Like, there's no one that they could cast that would be accepted because Boseman became iconic in that one role. So I think that they're going to retire the entire character for right now and just have the Black Panther mantle pass on to someone else. And then, of course, they get to score some more brownie points by having a female Black Panther right away. Plus, there's precedent for it in the comic. So it's like the obvious decision that they're going to get more mileage out of than recasting, which I think, I see your point of view, but I think that probably many would prefer it this way, that the character is kind of like retired for the time being. So I think that they took the only, that they took the most logical option available to them. Can't really fault them for it.
To a point, no, but I fault them for how they announced this. They should have just had a little Chadwick Boseman tribute and then not said anything about Black Panther 2 yet.
I'm sure that there's
have to.
Yeah, I'm sure that the whole movie is going to be a Chadwick Boseman tribute.
It probably will.
The whole time.
But there's a couple guys I could think of you could recast it with right now that would be more than acceptable. But no, like the difference between recasting this and somebody like Chad, like they did with,
Terrence Howard.
Terrence Howard is like Terrence Howard's still alive. Like, so that's the only thing I could see there being an issue. My issue more so is just them, already jumping the gun with the Black Panther 2 and they're going to just give it to her. And I get where Michael's coming from. Like, either recast it or just don't do it for a while. Just leave it alone. But again, it doesn't really matter. You can have her come back as the Black Panther, but don't do it in her own movie like that. To me, it just seems disrespectful. But again, this is getting into a whole another thing. But we also got the announcement for the third Ant-Man movie, the Ant-Man and Wasp: Quantumania. Interesting title.
I'll be there for that one. I know I'm one of the few people in my social circle that rates Ant-Man and Wasp really highly. But again, it's because I got tired of the pretension in a lot of the Marvel films, and I just wanted to see something entertaining that made me laugh. And I felt like Ant-Man and Wasp was one of those films, and I liked the first Ant-Man too.
I actually stick up for the first one quite a bit, actually.
Yeah, I like the second one as well, it's to me, it's like the PG-13 escape that Deadpool 1 and 2 are in the R rating category for superhero stuff. I like Ant-Man and Wasp, so I'm on board to see an Ant-Man 3, and especially if it's Ant-Man and Wasp in the Quantum, whatever the title is, I'll be there to see it.
And we got Kang the Conqueror showing up in that. Andre, anything to say about Ant-Man?
Looking forward to Kang. I don't mind the Ant-Man movies; they're good fun. So yeah, sure, bring it on. And interesting to see what they're going to do with Kang. We're going to have some good Kang versus Doctor Doom rivalry, because that was hilarious in the comics.
Script?
Yeah, I actually kind of enjoyed the Ant-Man series. I think the title is silly. It gives me a groan to it because I know what they're doing there, but. No, I'm curious to see how they're going to introduce Kang, and they got a new actor playing Casey or Kaylee or whatever the heck the daughter is, and I guess she's going to probably have some Ant Girl powers coming into that one as well.
So it's not the same grown-up one, thing. Or what's the deal here?
I don't think it's the same actor from Endgame, no.
Weird. Okay.
Well, that seems like a waste.
Yeah, maybe she wanted too much money. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse. Now, this is one I know Andre and I have been following, and of course, Feige did confirm that it will, of course, lead into the next Spider-Man movie. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. We didn't really get anything new out of it, though, unfortunately. But yeah, did you want to take a moment to talk about it at all, Andre? Or?
All I have to say is that's the one Marvel movie outside, from Marvel Studios at this point that we know is coming, that I'm really genuinely looking forward to. So yeah, bring it. And honestly, I don't want to know too much more about it. I feel like on this one, I know it's going to be impossible, but I wouldn't mind going in and just enjoying the ride without having too many spoilers in advance. I would have liked that. Of course, I think we're getting many spoilers, but that's a movie that I actually think is going to be genuinely good, and I can't say that about too many movies from Marvel right now.
There you go. And Michael, anything to say about Doctor Strange?
I loved the first Doctor Strange. I thought the opening third, really opening 2 acts of that movie were some of the strongest stuff I've seen in the Marvel series, as far as really feeling different while setting up a superhero character. Liked the whole movie, but the first 2/3 of it really were impactful to me. So I'm very excited to see them keep the character going in another dedicated film. So I will want to see that. I am a little concerned that you'll have to see WandaVision in order to understand it or something, which maybe I'll have to beg Tim for the account password or whatever. But I do want to see that film. And also, real quick, not to derail anything, but Script Doctor, right before we went into this section, Script Doctor, you said that somebody wasn't going to be in Quantumania because they demanded too much money. Did I not hear that right?
Oh no, I don't think it's somebody. That was Tom, the actor who I guess played Ant-Man's daughter in Endgame. I don't think was brought back for this third
one. Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, because they did announce whoever was playing her, and I think Script's right. And I said, oh, maybe the actress just wanted too much money. That's what I said.
Right. Okay, so she'll be recast or something.
Yeah,
okay. Yeah. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to Doctor Strange. So
absolutely. I think that may be one of the recastings that we won't notice. Like they did something like that on the Warriors 3 between the first two Thor movies. Like I don't even recall, but they
the one guy,
was it John Krasinski was in there? No, Sean Levy.
Yeah, exactly.
The redheaded guy, yeah. So then, other than that, we got the big announcement was obviously one we kind of knew was coming, but it was kind of nice to hear, and that was, well, he did mention Blade, but we already knew about that. But then he announced the Fantastic Four was in pre-production, or in development, I should say. So that's got us all a little excited, especially Rob, who's not here. But yeah, Andre, I'm curious to hear what you have to say about that because of Doctor Doom and all that other good stuff.
Yeah, awesome. Bring it. And also bring the villains. Because as we've always said, the Fantastic Four and why everyone wanted them back wasn't necessarily for the Fantastic Four, but rather all of the other villains and supporting characters that came with the Fantastic Four. So I just hope that they're going to get the casting right, that they're going to go with the Krasinskis for it. We got the director now. It's John Watts who did Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Do you think they'll connect to Spider-Man somehow because of that? Considering the history.
I was like saving what you said earlier about like the Spider-Man joins the Fantastic Four. I'm sure there's going to be like some kind of. He's not going to join them, but there's going to be some kind of like connection there. Would not be surprised if that were to be the case.
Yeah.
Peter and Johnny Stormer in college. Take the same college.
Something like that.
Well, and again, like I said with Sam Raimi getting involved, it's like you're not going to get him involved just to direct a one-off for Doctor Strange. Obviously, I knew something with Spider-Man was going to get involved there. And I think the same thing here. You're not going to have John Watts do a Fantastic Four movie and not have a reason for it. Like, there's obviously going to be some kind of connection somewhere.
With the Nick Fury Secret Invasion storyline and with Fantastic Four, those two can actually interconnect quite well because Fantastic Four introduced us to the Skrulls. And then I wonder if they'll use the Mole Man because that'll be an interesting villain to see on screen.
And right now, the Spider-Man deal's limited to, I think, 2 MCU movies and 1 Spider-Man film, but that does not mean it won't get renewed. And I think that's also another reason why they're setting up a quote-unquote multiverse is so Sony can go do their own thing while MCU Spider-Man can continue over.
And then also probably license it to Disney Plus down the road, right?
Yeah, and also that's like the thing that right now, with the way the streaming wars are moving, while Sony would have had every possible motivation to just use Marvel and Disney for all they were worth before and then go their own way, right now they actually have a reason for a strategic allianship with Disney.
Absolutely.
Over Spider-Man, if nothing else, because without them completely alone, they are screwed.
Well, not just that. Yeah, like my original point that I think it still stands is I'm sure Tom Rothman and other people looked at it and it's like we could go out on our own, sure, and we could make a Spider-Man movie and maybe make $1 billion, but chances are we are guaranteed $1 billion movie if we make it with the MCU. I'm sure that was the final kind of point that nailed it home, that like it was obviously a no-brainer to stick with Disney in this one.
That certainly should be.
And when it comes down to money, I know how Tom Rothman is. So,
yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. I was like, is that somebody convincing Tom Rothman of that reality, or is that Tom Rothman?
I think it was Tom Rothman convincing the others. To be honest with you, because Tom Rothman would normally be one who would not want to deal with this shit. So I could see him, wanting to pass it off onto Disney.
Yeah, but that's also shocking to me that he actually made the right decision for once in his career. So miracles do happen.
To be honest with you, Tom Rothman has been the best thing that has ever happened to Sony. Like, if there was ever a match met in hell, it was those two.
Well, that's interesting because he was the worst thing that ever happened to Fox.
And you're damn right. But like, he came in, he cleaned house. He has boasted up there, like because of him, they've had things like Baby Driver and a few other hits. He brought Tarantino into the fold, I believe. or I think he was on board before, but he was smart enough to keep him on board anyway. I mean, he encourages that kind of stuff. He's not really into the franchise stuff, which is fine. Let Spider-Man and everybody else, let somebody else deal with Men in Black. Let somebody else do something else. Sell them off. Get rid of them, Tom. You hear me? That's the smartest thing you could ever do.
Here's like the thing, that Tom Rothman, he's terrible for genre properties. He doesn't get them in the slightest. So that he can too. But he even had people explain to him, like in 2018, that no, comic book movies aren't going away. And let's now sit down and explain to you what they actually are. Because he didn't understand that until years into his Sony thing. And I was like, okay, so it's like genre within the genre. Why didn't anyone tell me this before? That was kind of like his reaction to it. But he's very good for other non-genre movie. For that, he's good. For that, he has taste and everything.
Yeah. And he's had a lot of great hits with non-genre films in the last couple of years for Sony, and that's helped him out.
Sadly, those non-genre movies aren't going to help them one bit in the post-Coof streaming world.
No, that's where I can guarantee Sony's going to end up selling their film division. It's going to happen.
Yeah. So he was a very good short-term solution, but he's not the right fit for the genre content that streamers want.
Well, lucky for Sony, they don't have a shit ton of genre content, so that's what I think worked out more than anything. But speaking of genre content, we're getting 10 new Star Wars series.
Yeah. Before we get into the Star Wars...
Yes, we should get into Super Chats. Yes.
Do some of the Super Chats.
Yes, we should. Going back to Salvador is where we left off, I believe.
Let's see. Maybe. Well, basically, Salvador says for $9.99, isn't there some proverb about counting eggs and hatching? Maybe Disney hasn't heard it before. But then again, I'm sure hearing is muffled when your head shoved up your own... Well, So, yeah. Exactly. And what do we have next, Tom? Do you have it there? Or shall I find
Tiberius Monk. Yeah, you should probably bring it up on your end just the same, because I'm probably going to lose them here. Yeah. Tiberius Monk sent in $2, says, this HBO Max deal keeps getting worse all the time. Did that sound enough like at the end? Yeah. It's getting worse all the time.
Yeah, and we did lose a couple of
did we? There. Go ahead and hit the other ones first before we get to Tickle Trunk.
I'll get to the ones before Salvador. Laser Pants before that said, 2 of my favorite channels. How you doing, fellas? Well, as you heard, we're all good. So, and Harry Partridge Live sent us 5 British stuff. I think you said that one, maybe. Big love for Retroblasting and Midnight's Edge. So then we're caught up with before.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think I was caught up, so yeah.
Yeah.
And then we got Mr. Tickle Trunk says, damn it, Tom, Dennis Villeneuve. I don't care. He needs to learn how to have a name that I can pronounce.
So why you hear that? Then leave Villeneuve. Do better.
Do better. Yes. If the rest of the world is going to insist upon itself I'm going to insist.
They can call him Denny V.
Yeah, and then we got a super sticker from Bradshaw's Studio. Thank you so much. I think that was a diamond, if I remember correctly.
No, it's that's like a smiley face with.
Okay, well, it was a smiley face one. Okay, yeah. They're long past, so I can't see what they are now. Rivers727 sends in $5. What if in order for KK to do her job, she had to throw RJ under a bus and become the fall guy? Thus, no RJ trilogy. Interesting you say that. We will, obviously, that was an absence in that grand announcement yesterday. Was nothing from Rian Johnson. So,
yeah, and we are all mourning over it. So.
Yeah, all morning, yeah.
Yeah, we'll get back into that.
Okay, now it jumped on me, so after this one, you may have to...
Yeah, okay, then Phantom of the Night says, I legit hope that people making fake anime OPs to Galaxy of Adventures footage meme the Star Wars Visions miniseries into creation. Well, fingers crossed for that. And he was the one who sent us a diamond sticker. So thanks for that. And
I knew somebody did.
Yeah, you were quite right about that. And Alex Acerra sent us $9.99. Thank you so much, saying, I'm mixed on the announcements. I'll give Miss Marvel a chance. Still on the fence for She-Hulk due to the showrunner. You have to switch those two around, actually. It's Miss Marvel that you should skip for the showrunner. Anyway, moving on. Same super chat still. But I wonder who will play the Fantastic Four? And chance of Sony and Disney staying one. Well, yeah, we covered that a little bit before.
Yeah, we were just talking
early
about
to say who's going to be cast, so we're excited about that as you. And the chances of Sony and Disney staying together just went up. And Marcos A sent us $4.99, saying, Denise, big statement. Is this going to jeopardize Dune 2 and Dune streaming series that was supposed to be in line after the movie? No, his statement isn't going to jeopardize anything. What's going to jeopardize is how much of a hissy fit Legendary is going to throw behind the scenes. That's what's going to jeopardize things. But the Dune 2 that Villeneuve was going to make, that is in jeopardy, absolutely. I still think there can be a Dune 2 and 3 and streaming series, but that requires Warner and Legendary seeing eye to eye, and then they're going to have to cut the budget, and then they might not be able to afford the services of Villeneuve. But we shall see. Well, the pieces are still, they're not in place. And Andres Fernandez says for $50, 50 ARS. What currency is that? Well, anyway, $50 of some currency. Thank you so much.
I'm trying to remember now because I do know, and I'm Argentinian. It's Argentinian, but I can't remember what they're called, the denominations.
Well, sent us 50 Argentinian money. So thank you so much. Muchas gracias.
Argentinian peso?
For that.
Pesos, yes, that's what it is. Yes.
Okay. Last I checked, pesos doesn't begin with an S, but yeah, that's I'm not going to be a stickler. But anyway, muchas gracias. And he says, "Hi Tom, hi Andre. Marvel realized that Phase 5 and the MCU couldn't be led by Captain Marvel. They used the multiverse to bring back favorites." It's actually, you may not be wrong. You may not be wrong.
No, I think this was Benedict Cumberbatch is going to be leading the MCU.
Could very well.
That could very well be. So we shall see. And Alex Acerra also said, also, think Doctor Doom and Masters of Evil will be next Endgame. Maybe Loki, Green Goblin, and such answer to Doom. And Galactus is the final boss. Could be. We'll just have to see exactly what they're doing.
Galactus
I'm sure we'll
is
see them. But...
yeah, people have been wanting back in the MCU, so we'll see.
Yeah. And... /11111 says for €20. Thank you so much. That's the kind of stuff that keeps the lights on here. Regardless of what may or may not happen with having their upcoming movie catalog transferred on Disney Plus, do you think Disney has an interest in developing a Marvel movie, not a series, specifically for the platform? Yes, they're already doing that. Way before the coup. Ant-Man 3 was announced as being a straight to Disney Plus movie. That was never going to theaters. It's going to be a standard 2-hour movie for Disney Plus. So they're going to be doing more of that. And GMTC Podcast says, the only two with the most promise to me, Moon Knight and Fantastic Four, had no art or updates. I'm very trepidatious and protective of Moon Knight. Well,
I did jump over Moon Knight. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah,
we did get a casting announcement for Moon Knight, didn't we? Not now, but we got in the last couple of weeks, so we know who will be playing Mark Spector, don't we, Tom?
Yeah, sorry about jumping over that, but I can't remember the actor's name.
Oh, it's the guy from Star Wars. Not Pedro.
No, not Pedro.
The other one.
Oscar Isaac.
Oscar
Yes,
Isaac.
that's the one. That's the one. The other one. Oh, you're going to get canceled now.
I meant the other guy, but yeah, I know how that come off now.
Anyway, moving on.
I don't know. I've been wanting to move up that list anyway. Fuck it.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Never apologize. And like Pedro's hidden behind the helmet mostly anyway. So, so it's an honest mistake. Anyway, Blue Satoshi says, for Jedi, it was, what if Jabba KO'd 3PO, forcing Leia to prematurely reveal herself? Yeah, that would be
one of the what if stories.
Oh, the what if stories. Yeah. Oh, that'd be an interesting one. Yeah.
You can go anywhere. You can go anywhere with that genre.
Yeah, right? Exactly. What if is awesome, but we'll get back into the Star Wars series as soon as we're done.
Momentarily, yes.
Yeah. So just give us a couple of moments, and we'll get straight back into the Star Wars announcements. Before then, Polaris Sucks says, Tom, you are one great SOB.
You probably don't think that now.
And William Sova says, I'll only care about what if there's a Marvel's What The as a final episode. Also, Razor Fist when. You know what? I'd love What The season finale of What If. That would actually make them interest. Tom, do we have Razor Fist scheduled for a new appearance yet?
I haven't heard back from him yet, but hopefully soon. I know you've been wanting to talk to him about some Conan business and all that stuff. But
yeah, and I know he wants to talk about Daredevil and Solomon Kane, and we actually brought some new Solomon Kane information to light in our interview with Fredrik Malmberg, who happens to be the rights holder of Solomon Kane, in addition to Conan. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, I'm sure we'll have him on before long. And Matt G said first, what if should have T. Howard and Norton come back? That would be pretty awesome, actually. And Matt G also said, rumors for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. characters showing up. I know that there are some rumors, but I don't recall them right now. Guys, have you heard anything about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s characters being brought into the fold again?
It did say something about S.H.I.E.L.D. up above, but I think that was just about Samuel Jackson. So no, I don't remember anything about S.H.I.E.L.D.
As a lover of history, I loved Agent Carter as a show. I was completely disinterested in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I understand it contributed to some MCU canon and side storylines and things like that, but I just didn't care enough. So to hear Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. characters being brought back into the fold, it's like, okay, well, I hope to get to know them then, you know?
I'm in the same boat. I enjoyed Agent Carter far more than Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and I pretty much bowed out of that as soon as Agent Carter wasn't renewed.
Yeah. And then Mickey Silla says, Black Panther is 60-year-old character. Shiri was the Black Panther for only a couple of years. Sorry, not the justification to retire T'Challa. Yeah, well, that's a fair point of view. And Laserpants says, they'll bring in another multiverse, alternate version of Black Panther into the MCU, so they'll be able to say they didn't recast Black Panther. Yeah, you could always Harry Kim it, I guess, or like do some variety of that. And then Gen X Toys Geek Jody says, just found Michael's message in my email box. Glad I could at least attend part.
Thanks, Jody. Appreciate it.
Yeah. And Tedios Tobak says for 50 Norwegian krona, is it true Legendary is the reason Tenet had its release date? You are referring to the scoop from Robert Meyer Burnett. Yes, it's true. Horribly true. And Silver Nova says for $5 Australian, it wouldn't surprise me if they do a spin-off about the charred bodies of Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru. Yeah, now we're getting into Star Wars territory here.
I hope they're reanimated corpses, is what I hope, because that would be the what if to end all what ifs. What if Owen and Aunt Beru were zombified after their deaths? I'd watch that.
And if they were, do they dance the Thriller?
Almost caught up now, and Max Relax says for €5, thanks for the show. Here's a donation to help keep the lights on. Oh, thank you so much. We really appreciate that. And Greg Reyes says, none of the Star Wars announcements means a thing if it all ultimately leads to the sequel trilogy. You can't invest in that. That's a perfect segue into the Star Wars
most
coverage.
Lackluster friggin' announcement I've ever seen on Star Wars in my life. Okay, well, we've got news that there was 2 spinoffs from The Mandalorian, the Rangers of the New Republic and Ahsoka. And I've gotten some mixed news on what the Rangers show is. I've heard it's both the Cara Dune series, and then I also heard something about it being about those X-Wing fighters. So I have no idea which one it is right now. If somebody wants to clarify that for me, I don't know if any of you guys on the panel here know either, but yeah, I have no idea what it is.
I mean, I know that Rogue Squadron's about X-Wings, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure what this project is.
So I got 2 conflicting stories on what it's about. If it's a Cara Dune series, cool. If it's the other one, not so cool. And then Ahsoka, we expected. So yeah, but Filoni is running up the Rangers series, so of course I'm kind of like, okay, on that one as well. Yeah, I don't know for sure which one it is though. So, I'm
betting at least one of those pilots is going to be part of the Rangers, but I don't know if it's going to be like a dedicated X-Wing group. But I think that's what that character Carson was. Is he's a Ranger. He goes from planet to planet, kind of helping out and maybe deputizing marshals or what have you.
Okay.
I'm just speculating right now because I haven't heard anything back on.
No, I don't really. Yeah, like I'll be honest with you up front. Like none of these series I had any like woohoo about.
Well, let's go through them one by one, and then we can see exactly how much.
Okay, so does anybody have anything like the Ahsoka series? We all knew was coming, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. In other words, so I take that the consensus is it exists, and that's the thing, and no one has any strong feelings beyond that.
Yeah,
unless Michael disagrees.
No, I don't disagree. I'm in complete agreement with you guys. It exists, and we knew it was going to happen. And all right, what do you got that's actually a surprise? Right.
Yeah. Then we got a cartoon announcement for The Bad Batch, another one we already knew about, which is a spinoff of the Clone Wars. A series I've only seen a few scattered episodes of. I don't know if you guys have watched it at all. I think Script has.
I've watched the original series of the Clone Wars when it was under Lucasfilm control. I haven't had the pleasure. I hear they're good of seeing the Disney sort of conclusion to it. But the clone thing, I'm just not interested in another show about the clones. I think they did it pretty well with the Clone Wars, and so saying, we've got like a Dirty Dozen show. It's like, if you're really into the clones, like my buddy Tim is here at Retroblasting, then you're hyped. But if you're not, it's just kind of like it feels like more of the same.
Yeah, I'm not dumping on it. It just I don't have that interest in it. But Script.
I mean, I didn't see all of the Clone Wars. I saw bits and pieces here and there. I saw the series finale, which I wasn't too impressed by. I'm not interested. It just clones are clones, and they're supposed to be disposable characters, and I'm like the fact that they tried to make them very rounded and individualized, but it's just hard for me to see past that at this point unless they come up with a really, really, really great story.
Yeah, Andre.
Yeah, no. As for me, I've never cared about the animated Star Wars shows. Not a single one of them. I haven't seen a single episode. The animation style is so off-putting to me for all of them that I honestly don't even want to see them. I'm guessing this is going to be more of the same style and continuation of the same basic thing. So I've literally zero interest. If you like Clone Wars and stuff like that, good for you. I hope you enjoy it, but I couldn't care less.
No, that's about where I'm at with that one. And then, of course, they're finally going to do the Casio keyboard series that they've been talking about. And not only did they announce it or whatever that it's finally happening, but they actually showed us some footage. I guess you could call it.
No, they just showed us Rogue One footage.
Yeah, it was mostly Rogue One footage, and then a bunch of behind the scenes crap.
Yep.
No, you're right about that.
Yeah. So anyone excited for that?
I liked Rogue One well enough, but it's a very flawed movie. It's the only thing I feel that Disney has done thus far. I haven't seen enough of The Mandalorian. What I saw was fine, not that exciting, but Rogue One was the last Disney thing to really get me out of my seat and run to the theater. Flawed film, kind of broken in places. If they do a Cassian Andor series, as they're doing, obviously, with this shoot, all I know is that my life will continue to be filled with more people coming back with screenshots saying, Michael, you look like Diego Luna, which was a big thing back when Rogue One, people kept photoshopping mustaches.
You do look like Diego Luna. Now
yeah, I'm a white bread version of Diego Luna. And so that joke gets to continue. If they do it in a serious note, if they do the show in a compelling espionage-y, suspenseful kind of way, and again, take a different tone than we're used to seeing, then I might be interested. Yeah, I won't write it off, but Rogue One is a mixed bag. I'll just put it that way. So anything coming out of Rogue One is also, I'm going to assume, a mixed bag. So
script.
I mean, the only thing I liked with Rogue One was that final raid on the planet. I didn't like the Darth Vader scene. I thought that was kind of beneath and out of character for him at that moment in his life. The whole first act I wasn't really impressed with, and I don't understand what they can do with the Cassian Andor series. I just don't see the point in it. He was one guy among all the rebels who's doing his thing. Like, what story can you tell that's going to be more important and more interesting than what he did in Rogue One?
Yeah, and as for me, I couldn't care less. I mean, what series? There's like one spin-off thing from Rogue One that I would have been all over. Satoichi, like the Star Wars Satoichi guy. Yeah. That I would have seen. I would be, and same with like the Firefly guy and his robot. I would have liked that too. But Cassian Andor, I mean, like, no disrespect to Diego Luna or something, but who the cares?
Casio keyboard.
That's well, maybe that robot will be with him in the show.
I think the robot is supposed to be with him, but yeah, that's the only good thing to look forward to.
Because that's the one thing to look forward to there, because you have to do something really incredible, because as it is right now, I don't see why they would be doing this. I mean, I'd rather take like a series of like the charred corpses of Owen and Aunt Beru and the Undertakers disposing of them after that scene or whatever. Like that, I'd take that.
I'd rather see a series of the Jawas that found C-3PO and R2-D2 than the Cassian Andor series.
Jawas.
Yeah, or like KS is in the comment. Rogue One made Grand Moff Tarkin less interesting. I'd rather have a Grand Moff Tarkin series.
Yeah, to a point. That'd be more interesting. The other one that was announced was Leslie Headland's series, which is going to be called The Acolyte, which is going to be set in the end of the High Republic era. Whoop-de-doo.
Yeah, I don't care. I've espoused many times how I miss the expanded universe, but even saying that, I've admitted that I did not get into the High Republic era expanded universe stuff like Tales of the Jedi and all that kind of stuff. I just didn't care. To me, it's the age of the Civil War and the rebellion and all that stuff. And so anything coming out that's about the High Republic, especially from this individual, I do not care. Yeah.
Yeah, no, like this would be the enabler and the assistance and helper of a certain individual that everyone was very quick to throw under the bus as soon as he was no longer beneficial to them, or when that became beneficial, including for this one. And we know that this series is going to be female-centric, and the term female-centric has come to mean not led by female, because that's something that you simply doesn't address. Like female-centric, that means misandrist for practical terms. So yeah, I hope that she's going to do good in the writing. Maybe she'll blow us all away. If it's just like female-led, no one has any issue with that, and everyone wants something from the High Republic era. So fingers crossed that it's going to be good. But based on showrunner alone, I am not interested at this point. But I would love for Leslie Headland to be able to prove me wrong.
Yeah.
I'm just not into courting another Kathleen Kennedy anointed individual. I'm just that to me is just it's a bridge too far. So I'm just like, nah.
Yeah. And the next big announcement then was, or Script, did you have anything to say about it? Or
about the Acolyte? No.
Yeah. I didn't think so. Hayden Christensen will return as Darth Vader in Obi-Wan Kenobi. Yay. What purpose does this serve now?
He's replacing a stuntman. That's pretty much what he's doing.
Well, not just that. It's going to step all... Because she said for the rematch of the century. I think it was...
Well, it's two possible rematches that could happen in the Obi-Wan series given its time. The one a lot of people are leaning into, obviously, is with Darth Vader because of Hayden Christensen's return. But the other one is that Darth Maul is technically still alive at this point in time.
Yeah, I have to say that when she says, like, oh, this is the rematch we've all been wanting forever. Like, that kind
we
of...
already
like,
saw it.
That kind of marketing BS actually like annoys me a little bit. I remember like the same thing before Batman v Superman, when they were like saying, this is the matchup and the fight we've always been wanting. Really? I never asked for a Batman versus Superman. But yeah, anyway, so that's what they're going with. I have to say though, bringing him back has me excited. So I just hope that the series itself is going to be good, that it's not going to be like another Picard where you tell a message and then you retroactively ruin the whole thing. So what has me worried is, what kind of involvement did Kathleen Kennedy have in this? If she's the one who's doing this primarily, then abandon all hope right away. But if Favreau had more to do with it, I don't know. I really don't at this point in time who is more responsible for it. But if it's not Kennedy, then I am hoping that this can be good, and I would actually be cautiously optimistic for it. You guys heard anything about that?
I do know, like I was going to say, and some people are saying in the chat, they did have the final confrontation with Obi-Wan and Maul in Clone Wars or whatever.
That was after the setting of when this show takes place.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Yeah, but who cares? Like that's they said that's all canon, but is it really though? Like they've taken like measures of like, yeah, that's not really canon. Like, is your head canon until we say otherwise it's canon? But they've been playing a little bit haphazard with what is and what isn't canon. So
I mean, I gotta hear more about what the story is, because I mean, okay, you can have Hayden in the suit, but unless you show his face, it's pointless. Okay, you're gonna have a scene.
Obviously, going to show his face, because again, as you say, it's pointless unless you show his face. So obviously, we're gonna see see him behind the makeup,
or in flashbacks.
Yeah,
or in flashbacks.
Or like in dream sequences, they had like that in the comics, where like you see like his. Not his force ghost, but his force soul, what's left of him and stuff like that. I wouldn't be surprised if they did something similar here. And they'll need him for that.
I mean, I'm going to keep my... I wasn't excited for it like you were, Andre, but it was more like, okay, now I want to see what they've got in mind here before I really get on board, kind of thing.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm cautiously optimistic. So yeah, anyone else have anything to add about it?
I look forward to seeing Hayden Christensen have another step up to the plate. I never blamed Hayden Christensen for the problems with the prequels. I blamed the writing, and I feel like he deserves another shot at at the role. I don't know exactly how they're going to fit this in and make it logical, but I bear Hayden Christensen himself no ill will, and I hope that he shines. So,
yeah, that's about how I feel.
Yeah, I hope so too.
Yeah, I hope. I mean, I look at it objectively, like, man, it's kind of pointless to have him because he is most likely going to be in the suit more often than not. But I'm also looking forward to seeing Ewan McGregor come back, see what they do with him, and whatever moments they do get for Hayden Christensen, I hope the writing is really good so that he can actually, show a real performance, because Lucas is not a great writer and he's not an actor's director. And those are two things that you kind of need when you're dealing with genre film.
All right. Another returning duo would be C-3PO and R2-D2 in a droid story, a new project for Disney Plus, as it says here. They are not going to be the main characters, though, from what I recall from the announcement. They are going to be the supporting characters to new droids. And I can't remember if this is going to be animated or live action, but I think it's going to be live action, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, okay. Anthony Daniels is going to get another check. Cool.
Oh, yeah, he won't let anyone else be C-3PO.
Yeah, he won't even have to wear the suit. He's just going to fire up that voice in the recording booth. But I'm hoping if there's a new hero alongside the droids, I'm crossing my fingers. I hope it's Mungo Baobab. I hope it's Mungo Baobab from the old cartoon. I hope it's Mungo Baobab.
I was curious if it would be like, an update of the droids cartoon from back in the 80s.
Yeah, that's what I want. It won't happen that way, but that's what I want.
Or they'll rip it off, one or the other.
Right.
Script, anything else to say about it?
Well, Anthony Daniels will be in the suit because Anthony Daniels is so possessive of C-3PO. He actually said he was really upset with Rebels and how they portrayed the movement of 3PO, because he's like, that's not how 3PO moves. So he's very possessive of the role. So if they are doing live action, he's going to be there. He's going to insist to be
I've
there.
actually read his book, or should I say listened to his book on, because it's funny having C-3PO read you his book, but yeah.
Yeah.
Does he read it as C-3PO? Or
he does lines as C-3PO, yeah, but he actually does, I mean, he reads it as himself, but he actually does I'm surprised he didn't get into other voice acting. He does a lot more voices than just C-3PO. Like, he does a pretty good George and some other stuff, too, in that, like, he does, like, impressions throughout. Like, it's like, dude, why didn't you get into more voice acting? I mean, you're Anthony Daniels. All you got to do is walk in and go, hey, I'm Anthony Daniels. And, like, probably that, or he wants more money.
Well, there's a lot of typecasting going on in the 70s and 80s and 90s. So I think that's one of the things that kind of hurt his ability to expand.
But no, actually, it's a pretty good book if you get a chance to check it out. Michael, anything to say about droids other than you hope that the one's there?
This concept has been attempted twice now. It was attempted in the 80s with the cartoon, and then it was attempted in the 90s in the Dark Horse comics with 3PO and R2-D2. Both times it kind of floundered. I'm wondering if they're going to learn from mistakes of the past, but at the same time, I don't know what the answer is because it's never been that interesting a format, a concept to me. So whatever they're going to take with this, I hope they figured out something really compelling. So,
Andre.
Yeah.
I hope it'll be fun. I hope this going to have like a decent animation style and not like the Clone Wars. Probably is going to look like
it might be live action.
Didn't we hear that it was supposed to be?
I don't know, but the picture they showed was all live action, so I'm not sure.
If it's live action, I'm all in, because it's like the animation and like that animation style that has been in Star Wars so far. That's what turns me off. If they don't use that. Well, if this is live action, hell yeah, I'm all in. Bring it.
That's what I was saying. Like, I think it is. So, speaking of live action, we know what happened to that Lando movie. It's now an event series.
Ugh.
Yay!
Ugh.
So this is where we're gonna get our Solo continuation.
Yep.
That's my first thought. This is
actually, I think it's a prequel because he has the ship. So, well, at least that's what it was insinuated.
Why are they doing prequels to everything? Because we know how it's going to ultimately end.
It's because that's all they know what to do, so they can tap into things that we know.
Yeah, they're banking on the nostalgia factor to pre-sell these concepts.
I'm just gonna walk into the ocean. I'll see you guys later.
No, there's sharks in the ocean, Michael. Just like my toilet. Anyway, Star Wars Visions is an upcoming animated series. Anybody care about Lando?
No.
I look, I said on my channel back when the Solo thing was announced, I was like, why isn't this a Lando movie? We know enough about Solo. We don't need. But again, like Script Doctor just said, they're banking on always marqueing things that people know.
I don't need to see how him and the robot make it work.
I don't need to see that either.
I want to see Black Star Warrior, that fan film that came out 10 years ago. I want to see that because that is interesting. Give me a blaxploitation 70s Lando Calrissian movie
Get Quentin Tarantino to direct it.
With Quentin Tarantino or whoever, just bouncing around the galaxy, having fun. You know, that's what I would love to see because that's
or the guy who did Eddie Murphy's last movie about
Dolomite.
Yeah.
That's what I was referring to. I wasn't saying that we need the Lando from the actual Solo movie. What I was saying was the project concept from the blank page should have been a Lando-centric film, not a Solo-centric film.
And that's what Script's talking about. There's a fan film out there that is basically that. It is fucking awesome. It is just like basically Lando as a blaxploitation movie from the 70s.
Well, that would also be a nod to Billy D. Williams' career.
Absolutely. Well. It's awesome. It's like you want it. You see it and you're like, now this is what we should have got.
Right.
Totally. Not only does it feel Star Wars, it still has that retro and experimental aspects that the original trilogy played with when it was being debuted. So I think I was like, man, that's a show. That's a movie I want to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So anyhow, like I said, nobody's really interested in seeing how him and the robot make it work. Star Wars Visions is an anime anthology series that's going to be, I don't know if it's going to be, it's not like a what if per se, but I'm sure they'll do a lot of retconning with it. They didn't really give us much on it. Like that one was one they didn't really say much at all.
Ironic, the one titled Visions has no vision for us to see.
Yeah. And then we did get an announcement for a couple of movies, even though, they're slowing down on movies. But the next one we're not getting until clear into December of 2023, and that is Rogue Squadron from Wonder Woman director Patty Jenkins.
They are literally announcing a December 2023 release date that's what blew me away the most. I'm like, guys, how desperate is the Disney fire hose of fun? For real.
Probably because she signed on to Wonder Woman 3 before this, I bet. If I had to take a wild guess in the dark, that's probably why it's going to take so long to get to it. Besides the current situation.
Uh-huh. Yeah, all right. This just to me seems like a real desperate move. It's like, hey guys.
I'm not saying that's not.
Oh no, I'm not saying you're not saying. I'm just still stunned, staring at the December 2023 date on this and going, you guys think as a corporation that you can keep your audience excited for a movie for the next 4 years, 3 and change? Is that what we're saying?
Star Wars.
Yeah, that dog won't hunt anymore, Tom.
That worked in 2000, not 2020.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I could give a crap less about this. And all we found out now is what that secret Star Wars movie coming out in 2023 is. This is it. It's not a Rian Johnson movie. It's not Taika Waititi's movie. It's not even, Fumigawa. What's his first name? Rick Fumigawa or whatever, the guy who actually just directed the recent Mandalorian. Isn't he doing one of the movies coming up?
Here's the thing. They have 5 options, and I think they went with this one because of the attention Patty Jenkins.
So that one's not happening now?
I'm pretty sure it's happening. I don't think they've solidified what date they want to give it a go. Because here's the other part too. I had an inside source, a friend of mine who is friends with the woman who wrote the Old Republic film, and that was what they were going to go with, and they decided to push that aside. And I don't even know if they are going with it anymore because now they're doing the High Republic book series, and I think possibly an animated series is in the rumors that they haven't announced yet.
Yeah, Andre.
Yeah, no, we don't have too much information to go on, so it'll be interesting to see. Cautiously optimistic. I take it that this is not the one that's produced by Kevin Feige?
I don't think so. Like, all I saw, I remember there's like a sizzle reel where Patty talks about, I think her dad was a pilot.
And she was out of breath after rollerblading like 100 meters.
Yeah, it was just some, yeah.
Yeah, she didn't have to rollerblade.
Yeah, I don't know why she was doing that.
I don't know why she even had to mention it, but
yeah.
No, she wanted that personal aspect because, again, like her whole story about looking for a fighter pilot film, it just felt weird. It didn't feel genuine. That thing just felt like she was.
I basically got the idea it's going to be Top Gun with,
it's going to be Top Gun and Mission Impossible mixed together. Wedge, if it takes place after, the OT, and then Wedge Antilles will be like Viper or something. Like, yeah, I flew with Luke Skywalker.
I read.
Okay, you lost my interest already. I don't care. Screw that movie.
Yeah,
what were you saying, Michael?
I was just saying I read religiously in the 90s all the Star Wars stuff, and I read the Rogue Squadron books, and I read the Rogue Squadron comics, and where they went off the rails with those books was that the main character that you followed, Koran, ended up becoming force sensitive and becoming a Jedi, which was like, of course, everything leads to a lightsaber in your hand. This is really annoying. I'm not sure. Obviously, we don't know anything about a movie that's not coming out for almost another, half decade or whatever. But thanks for letting us know. Thanks for letting us know.
Yeah.
That reminds me, guys, I'll be starting a new YouTube channel in 2030. Hope you guys get excited.
Ooh,
I know, but what are we gonna expect from Disney on this one? We know that they're not going to bring back Dennis Lawson as Wedge because he had to be cajoled into coming back for Rise of Skywalker, and who wouldn't? Because who wants to be in that? It could be exciting if it was like a Squadron movie, like based around and inspired by and drawing inspiration from fighter squadrons in World War II, like the RAF and stuff like that. But I don't know if they're going to be that clever with it. And I don't mean to sound pessimistic, but again, their track record is not great. I like Patty Jenkins just fine. I didn't have a massive problem with the first Wonder Woman movie. It's not very memorable, but at least it wasn't making me kick and scream and, smash things.
Well, let's see about the other, because we know that it's that the moral of the story is that there's a very bad man out there who's very orange and very bad. So let's see how actual audiences respond to the second one.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't test well, but we'll see. I mean, yeah, it seems like she had some kind of interest in telling the story, like you're kind of talking, Michael. So, like, there could be hope for it. I mean, and I don't think she handled the World War I stuff that badly in Wonder Woman, like you said. So,
right.
There's a hope that she may be able to handle something like this, no problem. But I think you guys are right. Are they going to go with like a young Wedge? Is it going to be a totally new crew we've never heard anything about? Is it going to be the Dave Filoni guy from the Mandalorian?
Yeah.
What's it going to be? That's my question. And why should I care? That's the even bigger question.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a title that doesn't inspire curiosity, which is a lot of these shows, actually.
Yeah. And then they announced, or they didn't really announce, but they talked a little bit about the Taika Waititi Star Wars movie so much that I missed it because I'm like, did they even mention it? And somebody's like, yeah, they did, but that was all they did. Like, just mentioned it. Because, like, they haven't even, like, they're just getting started or haven't gotten started yet on Thor Love and Thunder, so his movie's even farther out than that. And we got, like, absolutely nothing on it from what I could tell. So, like, yeah, unless anybody can remember anything elsewise or found anything elsewhere about it, they just said, yeah, it's happening.
If you recall anything about it. I don't, but we also got the super chat right now while we all think about that. From Ty Ramers, who sent us $5 saying, Mando, Lando, Andor, Mandor, Landor.
I'd like to throw Endor in there as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, there you go.
Yeah.
What for? Endor. There you go. From Michael. Indeed. All right. So yeah, nobody gave a crap about that.
Well, maybe that'll be fun when we learn something more about it.
There was a few other highlights.
One.
I mean, I guess we could bring up. They're doing like a.
Yeah, let's go through the rest of the stuff once we're done with the Star Wars things. So let's bring up.
That's pretty much it. That was it for Star Wars. There was no more.
Yeah, but we have other stuff to cover from Disney. So let's briefly go through the rest.
Real quickly, I'm going to go through their announced animation and Disney titles: Raya and the Last Dragon, Baymax, Zootopia Plus, a new series, Tiana. Based on The Princess and Frog, a long-form musical comedy series for Moana, Encanto, a new movie set in Colombia with music written by Lin-Manuel Miranda, Iwaja, an original long-form series, and then they announced a Buzz Lightyear movie that's going to be like a big-budget version of the character voiced by Captain America himself, right?
Yeah, by Chris Evans. Yeah, that's about right. So, guys, that's the Pixar slate. How excited are you?
No, that was the Disney slate. But the Disney Pixar slate starts out with this one. Sorry, we can do the Pixar slate real quick.
Before we get into the Pixar, let's do the Disney.
There ain't nothing there.
How excited are we for that, Michael?
For the Disney Pixar Lightyear thing.
Well, that's coming up, but yeah, that was my bad. That's the next stuff.
Oh, okay. When it comes to Disney these days, most of the stuff that they seem to do is, what did we animate 30 years ago? Let's make a live action of it. Seeing these things like the long form musical comedy series for Moana, I think it might be really fun for kids, but they're obviously not. They're not targeting me, and that's okay. I'm not in that demographic. So a lot of this stuff, it's just not really resonating with me.
Right.
Honestly. Yeah.
Yeah. And I can agree with that. And yeah, the Baymax series was the only one that kind of stuck out to me. What about you, Script?
Yeah, no, nothing really piqued my interest. I thought it was kind of weird that they got Chris Evans to voice Buzz Lightyear when Tim Allen.
We haven't got to that.
Was just recently in Toy Story 4. So like, what's happened between Toy Story 4 and this? I mean, did he say no, or did they just not ask him? We don't.
No, I think it's because they're doing it on purpose. Like it's supposed to be based on the property, not the Toy Story aspect of it.
Yeah, I think what they're trying, like, is this obviously Chris Evans is a younger guy, so they're probably making.
I think Chris Evans is going to be playing himself, playing Buzz Lightyear in the movie. I'm not kidding.
Yeah,
even though it's animated, but yeah,
they're giving us the in-universe Toy Story movie or TV show that generates the reason for the toy. Like that's what this project is, pretty much.
Oh, the big budget movie version of it.
Yeah.
Sounds like it. Yeah, that within the world of Toy Story, that's the movie that the characters in that universe would go to see and buy toys from, and that's what we're seeing in Toy Story the movie.
I wouldn't doubt it if we see a wraparound with the toys. So I mean, even though Tim Allen's not doing the voice in the movie itself proper, how much you want to bet the toys are featured in a wraparound? I wouldn't be surprised.
Maybe, I don't know.
Well, I'm sure like Buzz Lightyear's going to get excited that he's going to have a big budget movie based on his character. You got to imagine.
Yeah.
But speaking of Pixar, because that was actually part of the Pixar announcement, the other one they're doing is a new Sparks Shorts episode, Pixar Popcorn, which will feature shorts, Doug Days, a new series featuring the dog from Up, a Cars series, no surprise there. I'm surprised we haven't had one yet. I can't believe that Lasseter never got one off the ground because that was his baby.
I think they must be annoyed that Nick Jr. is kicking their ass with their own ripoff in Blaze and the Monster Machines.
Probably.
Blatant Cars ripoff. And they're like, why didn't we do a series and get this thing here first?
Well, yeah, because that was always one of the things where, like, even though the movies were not that great, they were like the lesser of the Pixar movies. They sold all the toys because the kids love the cars.
They were the most profitable of them because of that.
Exactly. Win or Lose, Pixar's first original long-form animated series, is about a middle school softball team, and it comes to Disney Plus fall of 2023. Again, like Michael was saying before, a lot of stuff that's way off in the distance. Was there anything in the Pixar announcements besides Lightyear that really stuck out to anybody?
I will say that the only thing that I care about, everything you just listed from Disney animation, whether it be Disney or Pixar, was that Colombian thing, like that standalone movie. Whereas those other series, I don't want, or like I'm probably not the target audience, but I don't want or care for, and I won't see a single one of them.
I just want to see how I'm just morbidly curious how close Turning Red will be to Turbo Teen. It seems like they've ripped off a bad concept and turned it into a Pixar movie and changed it from turning into a Firebird to turning into a panda.
Yeah, we didn't even list the movies yet, but speaking of, the movies they're bringing out are Luca, Lightyear, and Turning Red, which is about a 13-year-old girl going through puberty that transforms into a red panda. Yes, really, when she gets excited. It's
wow.
Yeah, talk about off the fucking deep end, folks. So glad Lasseter's gone, aren't you?
Wow.
I'm telling you, man, it's Turbo Teen for a modern age. It's going to be just as bad as it was before.
Let's just get into the whole idea of a girl going through puberty and turns into a red panda.
Hey, wow. Turbo Teen was going through puberty, and he turned into a red Corvette or Firebird, Trans Am, Camaro. Take your pick.
You're right. You are right about that.
It was when he got hot. All right. This is just the same thing. It's just let's take it. We'll make it a girl. We'll make her a panda. But the concept is the same. It's like, guys, do you realize Turbo Teen was such a failure that the entirety of the series doesn't even exist anymore? They didn't even bother to preserve it. So
yeah, I do remember. Didn't you do a video on it though?
It wasn't me. It was somebody else.
I was gonna say somebody did one.
Yeah.
I thought.
Yeah.
All right. There was a few series though that actually were worth mentioning. The big one is Noah Hawley's Alien series. So I don't know when he's going to have time to make that Star Trek movie, Andre. But yeah, guess what? This one's going to be set on Earth. Woohoo!
I have to say, I can't believe it. I can't. How stupid can they be? I mean, did Alien versus Predator just happen to everyone else? Did they not see that movie? Did they not understand that the two things that brought that movie down was that it was contemporary and placed on Earth? Had they just stuck to like the source material and kept it in the distant future in space, it would have been a great movie. But no, you had to bring it to Earth today. And in so doing, they created all of the possible continuity errors and everything like that. And then they did it all again in the sequel. And now they're going to do it here. Are you kidding me? You're going to do Aliens on Earth today or like in the near future. So like the next 5 years. What are they smoking? Like Noah Hawley, like stick to Fargo, stick to what you're good at. Maybe you shouldn't do branded content if this is the kind of stuff that he's doing. Or like of the entire slate, this is the thing that has me like the most baffled. Like, what are they thinking? Who thought this was a good idea? What's the possible justification for doing an Alien series set on Earth in our immediate future?
Isn't that how the fourth movie ended? Them headed towards Earth, Winona Ryder and Ron Perlman?
Yeah, but that was like 100 years from now.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
It was more than that. I think it was a couple 100 years from now, actually.
I said multiple 100 years from now. Like,
yeah.
The first movie is like 100 years from now. The second movie is like 150 years from now, and the fourth one is multiple 100 years.
Yeah, it's like many
now.
hundred.
You can kind of like get away from it, but this thing right here set to like. Then just go and reboot it all together and say that none of the previous stuff matters and this is canon now. Because we're going back and we're starting it earlier.
I'm with you, Andre. I haven't up until that point. I was like, okay, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, and this time they're on Earth. It's like, what? What the? Now, Michael, I can't recall if you're much of an Alien fan here or not, but again, why?
Well, I mean, I'm trying to wrap my head around if they've confirmed a timeline for it, which is why I asked the question about Alien 4.
Yeah, that's a good point too. Like, I wonder if it will be jumping off of that, but I doubt it.
Yeah, it probably won't because that movie was a failure. If it is on Earth and if it is about aliens, there was an albino alien in Alien 4. And if they set it on Earth, maybe they can like take the movie Powder and take the movie Alien and mash them up and put Jeff Goldblum in it. But maybe that's just not a good concept either. So I don't know where their head's at. The whole thing about the Alien franchise is that part of the terror is that you're in an unknown part of the universe or the galaxy, or you've never been on this planet before. You've never been on this world before. Putting it on Earth seems like the running out of ideas idea.
So, now I want to see Jeff Goldblum in an Alien movie.
Right? But see, that's the thing. We're so preoccupied with whether or not they could that we're not stopping to think if they should put Jeff Goldblum in an Aliens movie.
And that is Chaos Theory.
Yes. And well, there it is.
Exactly. So basically, this lost me right there on Earth today, and I'm out. Of course,
did they say it was today though? That was the question.
I do believe that that there was. Give me a second here. I think that they tweeted that out. That was an official tweet that said it was today. Just give me a second because I responded to it. So I should have it here somewhere. Just give me a second.
All right, while you're doing that, then
we have the super chat. So do that in the meantime.
Let me see if I can get it. Here we got. I got the one from Diego Flores. Says, Andre, they are trying to justify using the Earth Wars comic story. I'm not familiar with that one, but I don't know if you.
I'm not familiar with that one either, so I cannot say. But I can say in principle that the idea I'm not happy with. And here is the official tweet from Alien, blue check mark on Twitter. I can't show it on screen, or I can show it to you. I'll send it to you.
You don't know. You don't have to. Yeah, just.
Yeah. Well, basically, what it says here is Alien is currently in development at FX Networks. The first TV series based on the classic film series is helmed by Fargo and Legion's Noah Hawley. Expect a scary thrill ride set not too far in the future here on Earth. So not too far in the future. That's a little bit vague, but not too far in the future. That sounds way too close for comfort.
Yes, it does. So you might be right, Diego, unless it's connected with, it may actually be more connected with the new Marvel Alien series they just announced, I'm willing to bet.
Probably, but I'm going to make it a point to check out the Earth Wars comics. So thanks
there
for
you go. Absolutely. And speaking of tips and super chats, did we get any more in between there that I happen to miss, or was that the newest one? The only one?
Give me a second. I think that might have been the most recent one. I'm just going to refresh and see if there's something in between there. And no, there isn't. We are fully caught up.
Yeah. So anyway, these are FX series. They had something with Will Smith and Hemsworth, which is for National Geographic. And then when they're getting an Ice Age spin-off series starring Simon Pegg.
I will say that those things for National Geographic, they seem interesting, both of them. So, Tom, read those what those two are about, because they actually have my interest.
Will Smith and Chris Hemsworth will star in a series for National Geographic. They'll star in their own shows. Welcome to Earth follows Smith as he embarks on an awe-inspiring journey to unlock the secrets of the planet's most extraordinary unexplained phenomena. Limitless, starring Chris Hemsworth, explores the limits of the human body. There you go.
That sounds cool. Both of them. I'll look forward to checking both of those out.
And I mean, I watch a lot of Will Smith's YouTube channel, so I'm sure I could find something interesting in that. And I like Chris Hemsworth, so
Will Smith has a YouTube channel. Okay,
yeah.
It shows all those motivational YouTube channels, I think, right?
Well, actually, no. Well, he does a lot of different stuff on there, and there was actually something I told, I think it was you, Andre, about recently, or a while back, about the whole Matrix thing that he was talking about on there.
Okay,
about his reasons for turning it down and shit or whatever. But yeah. Anyway, that was a while back. And then they talked about their Disney price, which is going to go up. Other than that, I think that was the big announcements. Was there any, the Willow series, which we had talked about already last year because we talked about it with Clint Howard. And then Indiana Jones 5, which was also pointed out by Miss Kathleen Kennedy, will be the last Indiana Jones movie. And I know Michael You're a huge Indiana Jones fan. Mm-hmm. What was your reaction to this announcement?
I've always been in the minority in the Indiana Jones fan circles with my take on this, going all the way back to before Indiana Jones 4. And I take punishment for it, and I don't care. Fight me. I have always seen Indiana Jones in the same sense as it was created to be sort of an alternative to James Bond. It was made in the spirit of, hey, we're making a kind of James Bond-like series where he's in different adventures in every story. It quickly started to get away from that because Spielberg and Lucas kept reimagining the character internally. But I don't have a problem with the idea of recasting Indiana Jones for further adventures. I don't. That being said, I also don't understand why Disney is going to play into the hands of having just paid a lot of money for a collection of IPs, of which Indiana Jones is the second most valuable, and then just letting it fizzle away. That doesn't make sense to me. And you can say all day that they're going to do comics and video games and other things that won't be movies so as not to step on the legacy of Harrison Ford. But let's get real here. How many Indiana Jones video games have we really had since 1981 compared to Star Wars? They don't invest in it. Lucasfilm didn't invest in the property. Disney hasn't been investing in the property.
Well, Rob would be here to sing your praise right now because he's been one who said that, yeah, the same kind of things for a while now, that they've just underused Jones, and I agree. I also agree that he's not above recasting.
Yeah.
I would love to see like anybody from, Chris Pratt to who's the guy who does the voice of a Rocket?
Oh, Bradley Cooper.
Bradley Cooper would be another one who'd probably be able to slip into the role no problem. Again, yeah, it's a great role, like you said, like Bond. I don't see a problem with recasting it. What I do see a problem is if they were to go and like gender swap it or something like that. But
well,
anyway, we won't get into that.
That's the thing. Indiana Jones, unlike a 007 where they can find some loophole to say, it's a different agent or whatever. This is supposed to be a named born character in a certain time period.
Exactly. So, yeah. The latter part is also important too. I believe.
Yes. So I don't want to see Indiana Jones go away. And I feel like the property has been underused for the last 40 years. I've said for the last 15 to 20 years that he needs to go on through recasts like James Bond did. But a lot of people out there have this weird idea that character is so sacred that nobody else can play him. And I'm like, all right, whatever. So
no, that's weird. That's weird.
No, as opposed to Han Solo, where I do feel like it's the kind of the opposite with Han Solo. I think you're right. I do feel like Han's one of those characters where they really shouldn't have touched. And when they did, it just didn't work out. And because that character is so much Harrison Ford, to where Indy, like I agree with you. I don't feel like this should be the last one. I knew something was up when Spielberg backed out, though.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Harrison Ford has a little bit of control in this or what. I'm trying to remember back to if he does or not, which may be an answer as to why it's going to be the last time. And I know he spoke out before about it. I'll never be a girl. I'll never be anybody else, So, yeah, I don't know. Script or Andre?
Yeah, no, I don't really have any strong feelings. I'm a little bit on the side that those movies are, I don't know, call them historical documents, the fantasies of one era about the fiction of another bygone era. But it's something that I would like more of, because it's like based on like the serials of the 1930s, and I love the fiction of the 1920s, 1930s, that pulp thing, the serials. Like, bring that back in a big fashion. And if Indiana Jones is the means to do that, then yeah, by all means, recast and everything. We'll always have the original trilogy of Indiana Jones, and that other one. I will have that one too. So yeah, why not?
Yeah, I'm not averse to recasting either.
Yeah,
I'm not averse to recasting either.
Right. Just do it right. That's kind of like my thing. And we were talking about video games. I was like thinking back, which Indiana Jones video games are there? There are a few. And in in my personal experience, the best Indiana Jones video game is Quackshot for the Sega Mega Drive and Sega Genesis, and that's like basically a Disney game where you have Donald Duck in the khaki and playing the role of Indiana Jones, going on adventures and quests inspired by Indiana Jones. He even has to take the leap of faith and everything. It was a pretty awesome game. But I've been cool with some more genuine Indiana Jones stuff like it. But for those into retro games, if you haven't checked it out, go check out Quackshot. You won't regret it.
Script?
Yeah, I mean, I to reiterate a little bit, yeah, I have no problem with them recasting Indiana Jones or Harrison Ford. We saw that they just really weren't thinking about, sorry, not Harrison Ford, Han Solo, because again, they're interchangeable to a point. I think with regards to Solo, aside from the fact that they had script problems and production problems, the key point was they picked some Alden Ehrenreich, who is, I guess, an okay actor. I haven't seen him in a whole lot of stuff.
Yeah, I agree. They should.
But he did not fit any of the profile to a Harrison Ford-like character. And there are a number of actors that are out there that base their entire lives on just impersonating Harrison Ford, doing his roles. Like that's what River Phoenix did. Is he didn't play Indiana Jones. He played Harrison Ford playing Indiana Jones in The Last Crusade. That's how he approached it. And there's a lot of other actors that can do that. I've seen them do conventions. I've seen them do regular auditions where they come in doing a monologue from Indiana Jones, most famously the one about Sunday school when he's being briefed by the U.S. agents, and they do that. But again, if Disney's not willing to go for a little bit of authenticity with appearance and also swagger for those roles, then they're just going to be shooting themselves in the foot with any potential future stories for Indiana Jones or Han Solo. And yeah.
No, I agree to most of that. Yeah, like I said, if anything, I can't believe they haven't done a high-profile series and recast him with a younger actor. Like, I mean, it makes more
like the
sense.
Young Indiana Jones Journeys.
Yeah, well, not just that, but just Indiana Jones the series. I mean, it lends itself perfectly to like a TV series kind of thing.
Oh, like I would say, like how BBC did Sherlock for the first two little bits, right?
Yeah, I mean, you just pick it up like it's Indiana Jones Adventures. You just continue on. You recast it with somebody else. Who cares? At this point, like, whatever. It's better than anything we got out of Crystal Skull.
Like they did with Mad Max. That was a perfect example of how to do it. Like, just make another movie. And then...
Well, shit, there's another guy who could actually play him, actually. I wouldn't even mind him.
Tom Hardy?
Tom Hardy, there you go.
You could do worse than Tom Hardy. Like,
yeah.
Funny. You could do worse.
So I'm saying, like, there's plenty of guys who could take on the role. Like, I'm sure there's guys that would salivate over taking over that role. I mean, that's...
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean...
It's this weird double standard where everyone's like, yeah, I want Sebastian Stan to play Luke Skywalker. I don't want anybody ever playing Indiana Jones again. It's like, what? There's been like 8 James Bonds. What are you talking about? Like,
he's another one I wouldn't mind. He could probably pull it off, too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you didn't interrupt me at all. I was just rambling.
But anyway, speaking of that,
we actually got a super chat on that very topic.
Yes.
Yes. Can you bring it up on screen?
I was trying to. That's why I caught my thought off guard. There we go. Found it finally. Whew. Yeah. Primal Plasma sends in $5. Go ahead if you want to read that, Andre.
Yeah, sure. Plasma says, I think actor preferences are a generational thing. They said that no one could replace Christopher Reeves as Superman, but Cavill is doing a good job. And to support your point, Primal, before Christopher Reeves, the generation before that, they said that no one could replace George Reeves as Superman, because he was the irreplaceable Superman prior to Christopher Reeves. They have almost the same name, but yeah, that's coincidence.
Yeah, Christopher Reeve is still my Superman, but no, I mean, Henry Cavill, even though I'm not a big fan of the films, he does all right. So
I will say,
he could be a great Superman if he's written as Superman one day.
Exactly, yeah. Actually, I felt like Brandon Routh got such a short end of the stick.
Yeah,
Brandon Routh was pretty good too.
Yeah, it's always the writing. I've never seen a bad Superman. In film. I've seen bad writing though. That's the whole thing.
I will say that there is one slight difference, though. Superman is a character that originated in, was it 1939, I think? Yeah,
38.
38, I was going to say.
38? Yeah,
Yep.
that's true. The Phantom was 2 years before. That was 1936. So yeah, 38. But anyway, the character had then, before he was ever portrayed on screen, he had existed in comics. He had existed in some very high-profile animated shorts. He had been in radio shows, and he had been played on screen twice by 2 other actors before Christopher Reeve ever came along. So the point is that this was a character that already existed in pop culture, and Christopher Reeves was then the third face of the character. So there you kind of like have a tradition already.
Oh yeah,
you are filling the you're just a temporary custodian of a character that was there before you. In Indiana Jones is like Inspector Clouseau. It was a character that didn't exist before the movie. It was a character that only existed on the script before the movie happened. And now, granted, Harrison Ford was the second choice to play that to play the role. He was the go-to guy after Tom Selleck had to drop out because he was the one they originally cast. So you have you don't have any other reference point than Harrison Ford, because in a way it would be like remaking something that didn't exist prior. There's a slight difference there.
Well,
still,
and then as Sterling does bring up, we did have 2 actors play Indiana Jones other than Harrison Ford. River Phoenix did play the young version, and so did Patrick Flannery and the other kid too. Can't remember which actor that was.
And we had the old man old man Jones as well.
Yes, the old guy with the eye patch who was then edited out of reality by George Lucas. But that's the thing, though. Everything has a starting point. And to me, it's like, well, all right, so Superman started in comics and didn't get a movie for quite a while. And, then there was a movie serial with Kirk Allen finally, and some animated shorts. But, okay, so Indiana Jones started as a movie. That changes the premiere dynamic of the introductory dynamic of the character. Right. But after you're 40 years out and the IP has just been, languishing, just been treading water this whole time with one mediocre movie 12 years ago, it's like either take a crap or get off the toilet. In other words, recast or kill the IP. And I'm shocked that their decision is to kill the IP. That's what shocks me, because they paid so much for the Lucasfilm package. And I know people could say, well, they really paid for Star Wars. It's like, yeah, but they want their maximum value out of the other stuff too.
Yeah. I was going to say, speaking of, we've got the Willow series coming as well, which I'm actually a little bit more excited about. But
yeah. The Willow thing is kind of coming out of left field because it's only had a few novels in the 90s to follow that series up. And to me, Willow is one of those things where you're going to have to reintroduce that to people, because it wasn't a super successful movie in 1988 when it came out.
It was successful enough, but I don't know why Lucas didn't expand the brand beyond. I don't know if it's just because it wasn't as successful as he was hoping or what.
Well, he's also, took him 16 years to follow up Return of the Jedi.
Well, that was,
The man works at a geological rate. I mean, you can measure his productivity, on a calendar, not necessarily minute by minute. So it's Willow is one of those where I wanted a sequel back when I was a kid, and we never got it. But similar to the Indiana Jones films and the Star Wars films, it was a Lucas project. So you're waiting for paint to dry to get another installment. Maybe Willow is more up Disney's avenue. It's lane. Maybe Willow is much more in line with something Disney can do successfully right out of the gate.
Well, Well, I was going to say, the upside for their point right now is they actually get a strong female lead, and they don't have to actually invent one. It's already there, because Elora Danan is now old enough that she's probably going to be the more focal point of this series, I bet.
Yeah, and when I was a kid, I was really into I was there to watch Willow, and I had the Willow movie magazine that came out, and I read it cover to cover like a mazillion times. And in Val Kilmer's interview, in the Willow movie magazine, he's talking about working on the movie, getting in the role of Mad Mardigan, all that stuff. And one of the breakout quotes, one of the quotes they pull out and put in like a box or whatever, is him saying, "I don't know of anybody who is as close to the creativity of Walt Disney as George Lucas." He says something to that effect. And Willow does feel much more like a Disney style film than anything else Lucas did. So my hope is that Disney plugs into Willow far more easily and effectively than it has with Star Wars. I feel like Willow is something they can relate to as a company.
Yeah, it does have that more fanciful Disney kind of aspect to it.
It's not really Disney as a company, is it? It's the executive that's in charge of it.
Sure.
Lucasfilm, that's Kathleen Kennedy.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just saying that the Disney legacy of material lends itself more to, as a precedent, more to.
No, I get what Michael's saying. Yeah. It definitely fits the Disney mold much more than Star Wars per se.
Right.
But it'll be interesting to see. I mean, I knew about it like over a year ago, and it's been talked about for a while now. It's not new news. But yeah, I think that was the biggest news out of that. Was there anything else you wanted to touch on that got announced, Andre?
I can't think of anything.
All right. Real quick before we go, did you want to touch briefly on Denis Villeneuve, or if I'm saying it right, Villeneuve? He has joined the voices of discontent with HBO Max right now.
Yeah, I don't blame him.
I don't blame him either. But at the same time, I don't blame HBO Max for the move they made either. It's all business. It's, as they say in The Godfather, this was business.
Yeah, it's a situation in which they're all right and they all have a point. Unfortunately, the situation is such that it's a null-sum game. Someone is going to come out the losing end there, no matter what they do.
Well, one thing that I've kind of noticed, and I haven't seen this change yet, but I don't know any big Hollywood-named producers that have come out against this. I know some talent, like actors. I know some directors, but no powerhouse producers have come out with any opinion on this as of yet.
Well, you think
sorry, carry on, Tom.
Well, no, I was just going to say, I think you can go ahead, Andre, but I was just going to say the script, I think he has at least a theory why, but go ahead.
I do have a theory why.
Yeah. Well, let's hear the theory.
Since I would say Avengers, the Avengers movie, producers have been getting really upset with the inflated budgets of these Hollywood tentpole films. And the one thing that a streaming service does is it curtails the need for the $200 million budget film. And I think that's probably why they're a little silent at this moment, is they don't want to back either side, because they're hoping that the results at the end of the day will be, oh, we can have more manageable budget films where we can increase our profit margin for whatever platform it's released on. Because again, the higher the budget, the more you have to market and push it in order to make the money needed to get in the black at best, really. And I think that's probably why we're not going to see any big name producers coming out and saying, I side with Christopher Nolan and Denis Villeneuve, I side with HBO Max, because they don't want to have they already have a stake in this, which is they need budgets to come down. And you have these two prominent directors that have massive budget films saying, oh, we don't like this choice. I think they're just going to stay in the background for a little bit until the market sort of dictates that, they're speaking in an arrested development stage, and the future is streaming and direct to customer marketing.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I would take it one step further even. I agree completely that they see what's going on. They see that because of the decisions that previously have been made, they have forced a trajectory for the movie industry where things are now headed towards streaming and lower budgets. It didn't have to be that way, but that's the Gillette timeline that we are living in. Those were the decisions that were made. That this was the end results of them. And in our timeline, then what happens is it's heading towards streaming. So if they now suddenly go and they back this one director, well, this is a director that suddenly can find that he's not going to get any more jobs. Because in this new reality, who's going to pay for $200 million movies? And if that's what he does, No one's going to offer that to him. He's going to be forced to go down in price. And if they are going to align with him, like what studio is going to go and hire a producer that went out and trashed the studios that did what everyone in the industry is going to do further down the line? So I think that the producers see that if we go out here and we protest, we may win some brownie points here and now, but long term, we may be setting ourselves up for failure because we will have taken sides and we might be taking the losing side. And you can also see it the other way around with like talented big game directors. If they go out in the other direction, then the good talent that will, of course, we're going to have to adapt to lower budgets. Going to be like, you were too supportive of the other side. I don't want to work with you. So this is a situation where it's in everyone's interest, really, not to make their positions too well known. They can have their thoughts in private, but it would be in their interest to keep them private. And just be prepared to work with anyone, no matter how the chips fell down, and make the best out of the situation. I think that's part of it, because the people that now go out and speak out, that genie can't be put back in the bottle. That's going to mark them one way or the other going forward.
Exactly. Like if a producer says, hey, I don't agree with the streaming service, well, then guess what? No studio is going to be taking their calls when they have a project that they want to get made.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And I think that that by doing this, Villeneuve is not doing himself any favors.
No.
I think that this is an emotional thing, that he's really hurt and everything like that, because he sees that this was a movie that he invested years in. Like Nolan, he's all in for the theatrical experience and everything like that. And so he lashes out a little bit, and probably in coordination with Legendary, that are really unhappy about this and would like this headline to be able to use in arbitration. But I don't think that he's doing himself any kind of long-term favors.
And they're also, like, these directors here that are protesting a little bit to this are also kind of missing the overall point of their work, which is that it may have been shot initially for film, but the market has dedicated that people are going to be spending more time at their homes watching their movies than on the big screen. And they have to kind of consider that as long as it's getting to the people that want to watch the movies, that's the best thing that you can hope for as a filmmaker. It's like, yeah, I'm getting more eyes on it. So it didn't get a great big opening weekend on the box office, but hey, it's a cult film now on VHS, home media like VHS, the DVD, Blu-ray, or streaming. Directors really like that. I mean, it takes them a while to warm up to it because, again, the prestige of being a film director. But I mean, like John Carpenter loves the fact that some of his movies are cult films and not giant big blockbusters now, and it's taken him years to realize that. But he shares that value with anyone that approaches him about filmmaking when you see his online Q&As and all that stuff.
Yeah, indeed. So I think that filmmakers will simply have to adapt. Look, we all want to go to theaters. Like, no, there's no one here that says we are fans of what is happening, but it is happening. Like the people in our community, they're going to want to go back to theaters, but there's loads of people out there that are scared crapless of going outside. They're not going to go back to theaters, not for 6 months, not for 9 months, maybe not for 2 years, maybe not ever, because then habits will have changed, and filmmakers are simply going to have to adapt to that. That it's not going to be a theatrical audience the same way it was before.
That was something that I noticed with the WandaVision trailer. You know, I know that there's that new production method around The Mandalorian where they kind of have this virtual environment and they create everything through a soundstage. And part of me was looking at the footage going, I feel like this whole show has been created in a soundstage as part of this new workflow, as part of this new production environment, you know, post lockdown.
Yeah,
whatever it is.
absolutely.
Yeah. It doesn't feel tangibly real.
Yeah. And they're building another studio. She talked about too last night. Actually,
of course, they're gonna have to do other stuff to like. They're gonna. You bet they're gonna lease that technology to every other studio because that's how.
Well, everybody wants their hands on it. We've even heard that firsthand from I can't say who, but people that we've talked to. But yeah.
And you can bet that if there is a Dune 2, that's how it's going to be made. They're not going to have the money to go and film it at all the locations all around the world.
Right.
They even went to Norway to film the Caladan scenes, which is awesome for me. But still, like, filming in Norway is expensive. And you're not going to be able to do that. You're going to render out some similar backgrounds and do it there instead. Again, I'm not saying it's a good thing, but that's how it's going to be.
This is exactly what you have here: is the few guys that have not yet adapted to the digital realm, and the few actors and directors and stuff like that who actually stand to lose a lot of money from this move. But at the same time, I don't see a lot of them are seeing the bigger picture right now. Like, I don't think they're really seeing, like, okay, yeah, even if your film is not set to come out until later this year, there's no guarantee theaters are going to even be open, right? So chances are you're better off just taking this deal. We know according to that one tweet that I shared the other day that, Gal Gadot got $10 million for her back-end deal on Wonder Woman. I'm sure down the road, Warner Brothers will work out deals with these people. I think it's just more of Kalar and Stanky don't really know how to deal with talent. That part's probably true.
Yep,
they probably don't know how to be forthright. They don't know how to kiss ass. And they'll get to you. They'll get to it eventually, but I think that's kind of what it is. It's just more like, it's just fucking business. Not to, quote The Godfather again, but that's what it is. It's like, this is business. It's not personal, Denny. You're just going to have to understand that. And you make big budget movies that cost a lot of money and haven't made any money yet. And unfortunately in this atmosphere, they're not going to make any money. Same thing goes for people like Nolan. And I'm sure Tarantino's just sitting there thinking, shit, I'm glad I work for Sony right now. And I only have one more movie that I plan on making in the next 5 years anyway, at least for a while, besides, whatever. But people like him and Scorsese have been already moving over to Netflix. So, like, that's where I'm saying, like, guys have already gotten past that. If Martin Scorsese can live in a world where he knows his movie's not going to be a mass, big budget, seen everywhere movie, but he can make the same kind of movies he's used to with money from Netflix, and he's been willing to accept that, I'm sure guys like Spielberg and stuff like that are not far behind. I don't know what you guys think.
I can see that.
Yeah, no, I absolutely think so. That this is a situation that has been brought upon us where everyone has to adapt, including the big-time directors and the ones that really valued filmmaking of all, with the magic of film. And I think that the attitude that our good friend and filmmaker Gary J. Tunnicliffe has is probably much more healthy at this point. You will recall that, like, his last movie and the upcoming ones, he filmed with the cinematography designed for a smaller screen, because he knew that people would be watching this on like their mobile, their tablet, or a 75-inch screen at most. And everything was like designed to that end. No resistance, continually embracing the simplicity of digital, how that is making special effects in post easier, how you don't have to deal with noisy cameras and all the rolls and everything there. Like, I think that kind of attitude is something that the filmmakers like the Nolans and Villeneuves are going to have to adapt.
Yeah, I think that sounds very smart, Andre, what that guy's doing. Very smart.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And yeah, if you look at, for instance, Hellraiser Judgment, right? I know, like, that's not a movie for everyone, but I think it's a really cool movie, and it looks stunning compared to that it's filmed for just $300,000. But he filmed it for a smaller screen, so like on my 55-inch TV, it looks amazing.
And, well, and I don't think that. Well, I don't think that necessarily means that these filmmakers are going to have to really take down their vision so much as they're just going to have to work with somebody like Amazon or Netflix. That's all.
Yeah. All they have to do is they have to adapt their vision a little bit. They have to stop the attitude that, no, this has to be 70 millimeter and it must be shown in this and that projection screen, or I'm going to
exactly. That's how Scorsese got around it. I think that was all 100% digital on the Irishman, if I'm not mistaken, right, guys?
I think so. It was, yeah.
Yeah. So if he can do it, then the only people I don't see really coming over to that yet would be Tarantino, but he's probably the only one that is almost like a surefire thing. But like when he does whatever his next thing is going to be, it's probably going to be not for a couple of years anyway. And he may be the guy to turn around and bring cinemas back. You watch. Like that's what I'm saying. Like it's not going to be Avatar 2. It's not going to be.
What?
Yeah.
Give it 5 years.
That's what I'm saying. Exactly my point. Let's jump 5 years in the future where all the big cinemas are dead. There is no AMC's anymore. There's no Regals. All that's left is the Alamo Draft Houses and the little people. Taryn takes some movie, everybody's going to talk about it, and you're only going to be able to see it in theaters, and that's going to be the big boom to bring everybody back to theaters. Now, it may not be Tarantino, but it's going to be somebody like that. But that's my point. It's not going to be Avatar 2. It's not going to be Rogue Squadron. It's not going to be whatever the next Avengers movie is. People are past that now, I think. So it's going to be whatever it's going to be something that people aren't going to expect, is kind of what my point is.
Yeah, the movie studios are becoming television networks. They're called streaming services, but they're becoming television networks.
No, yeah, you're on point there. Exactly. Yeah. And that's kind of goes to the whole Disney announcement. And again, we're going to try and wrap this up here soon, but Mr. Trickletrunk sends in a Canadian $5. Don't you think filming on location will eventually be cheaper in the future? How long in sound stages if that well dries up for scenic places? Here's the thing, never. Mr. Trickletrunk, never. Yeah, because the thing is with those sound stages that they have now, all you got to do is say, hey, punch in background for Detroit. And they've got 100 million different backgrounds for Detroit. Punch in background for Mars. Done. Now, you don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to move anything, take anybody.
No gear rentals.
Exactly.
No accommodations to put up, because some of these studios are building their own little like mini cities or hotels or something for their cast and crew so that they can be there. And the other two aspect of this as well is that this stagecraft studio model, it can work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, because you can go into it with one production for their 12-hour day. They can leave, and another production can come in right afterwards, just upload their assets and start shooting right then and there. There's no takedown time. There's very little reset of anything. All the gear is there. All the people.
That's exactly what Kathy was saying.
And you have 24-hour production. So you have one location that can shoot 2 shows or 2 movies at the exact same time.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. And not only that, you'll have 3D environments that are already preloaded.
Yep.
And you're ready to go. Yeah. Filming.
Exactly.
And you save on air travel and like passports and visas and all that type of stuff. You just have your cast and crew go to the set location, wherever it is. They're there for the duration of the production, and then they go home.
Yeah, and by contrast, like for instance, this thing with Dune, because of course I want to make the Norwegian example, but it's the same all over the world. To film the Caladan scenes in Norway, what they had to do was first they had to transport all their cast and all their cameras and all their heavy equipment. They had to fly that in a 10-hour flight from LA to Norway, and that's to a major airport.
And that's like hundreds, if not thousands of people too, I'm sure.
Yeah, well,
at least hundreds. I'm sure they use local,
they're going to use some local talent, but I'm sure it's at least 50 people they're going to have to move over.
Well, whatever the cast, yeah.
Mm-hmm. But that's just to get to Norway, to one of the major airports. Then you're going to have to either helicopter them in or use something else to get them to Stavlandet, which is in the west and further away from some airports. Then you have to use local accommodation to house the people with a Norwegian price. And I tell you, the price level here, like I remember, like when I lived in England for a while, people were like, aren't you horrified by our prices, that everything is so expensive here? And I was like, no, what are you talking about? This is cheaper than home. Like, it's one of the most expensive countries in the world. So accommodation, like you're going to pay the same for like an upstate hotel or like basically one more time, the accommodation options right there are crap, and they cost the same thing as upscale accommodation in the States. So, like, you're not going to get very far on the dollar there. Whereas if you could just render it out in the studio and go home for the night, while that studio works 24 hours a day on another shoot, then you're going to save so much.
And not
money.
Just that space. Yeah. They take up a third of the space like a normal like setting. Like you can do so much in just a much smaller space. But yeah, it's kind of the future of where these things are going to go, like these big budget, and not just that, actually a lot of smaller budget, regular television shows have already been using some of this technology. Yeah. It's the talk of the town. It's what everybody wants to use going forward. And
yep. And they can make them in any size too. So if they want to take an aircraft carrier hangar and build that entire set to have those massive wide shots of like say a Braveheart skirmish fight, like what they want to do, they can do it indoors now with that setting.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah, the only thing that stinks is that the actors aren't going to get to see daylight when they're making actual movies.
Well, at least the LEDs.
There's plenty of people around the world with far less lucrative professions that also don't get to see
go
daylight.
Outside
That's
for
true.
5
Very
minutes.
True.
They got plenty of sitting around time.
Yeah, and this situation has necessitated this, and I'm glad that filmed entertainment is quote finding a way.
No, of course it is. No. Yeah. The people need two things: bread and circus. This is the modern day circus.
Yeah, and Tonister Tree says replace projection with curved green screen. All you need is a room and a computer.
It's more advanced than that. They could actually take that digital asset and drop in green screens. Well,
I was going to say, actually, the way this works is actually kind of better because, to me, yeah, it's not. You're basically doing the same thing, but you're doing it in real time, so you don't have to have the render problem. You don't have to match the lighting. This creates the lighting and reflections, so it's actually
the actors can react to the location they're in because they're not imagining it. It's
exactly. I actually see this as a much better way of doing it than green screen. To be honest with you, I don't have the problems believing that they're in certain environments the way I did in a lot of green screen stuff in the past. But then again, it's an eye cheat either way. It's just an illusion. So
how are they? I'm sorry to interrupt. How are they able to react to this versus a green screen room if it's all generated behind them?
Well, it's actually like a 360 thing. It's like like the whole room's.
It's like, about 270 degrees.
Well, not
or
quite
degrees,
not quite 360.
Stage. Yeah. And basically, it's like a rear projection screen, but this one is synced with the camera. Okay. So wherever the camera moves, the background moves to react to it. So
yeah, it's set up in like a VR environment.
Yep. Okay.
And actually, they have screens above them as well. So that's where I'm saying, like, you actually get the proper lighting of the environment and all this other kind of stuff off of the screens. So that unlike with a green screen, you have to like try and match the lighting, and it's so difficult.
And you have to cancel it out with some minus green or purple gels and stuff like that. Like for instance, the Mandalorian, when he's walking outside, the projection of the background is reflecting off of his armor, and so they don't have to digitally add that in. It's already there.
Yeah, it takes time. It takes so much less time than trying to do it all later.
Yeah. And it looks so much better because, again, just with the lightning and the shades, that's like the things that make you always recognize something as fake and as green screen, whereas that's a non-issue here because you already have that, as to say, reflected from the screens. Because the screens are showing the backgrounds real time, so the actors look around and they see what you see on screen. That's like that's what they see.
Yeah, if they want to, like,
they're in real time. I bet that standing on there, like when we see the Mandalorian standing out there and on top of a hill, and he's looking at this massive landscape. Well, that's what the actor is doing on set too. He's like literally looking at this thing at the screen. He's probably thinking, "Damn, this looks real."
And there you go. I have it on screen. And actually above them is actually, I think that's actually a screen.
That's another
above
screen
them too.
Yep.
But they're just not utilizing it in this shot right now.
But they could throw an actor like right up next to like the screen wall, and a very cruel post-production guy could throw in an asset of a giant monster coming out of nowhere, and it will scare the crap out of that actor because that's how real it's going to look.
And actually, this technology can be traced back to Lucas himself. Like he he predicted this stuff when they were making Episode 1. He literally said, he's like, you should see what my computer and video game guys are up to. We're going to be able to use that stuff in a few years and do all this stuff in real time.
And we saw the precursor of this before he sold to Lucasfilm, where he was making that Coruscant crime show, where the cameras, you could look through the camera and see the actual set, but it was still a green screen for the actors. And that was just one generation prior to this guy.
And Pescando brings up a good point. He's talking about it's like the projection process screens of the silver screen age, and that's true. It's almost like we're coming full circle, where we're back on process screens.
Like in the 78 Donner.
But the upside, the upside here though is you don't have any of the flaws of a whatever your original element was. That was always a problem.
Mm-hmm. You don't need more mirrors to you don't have to shoot a mirror shooting that's taking a reflection off the actor who's in front of the rear projection screen for this time. You can go straight in camera.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, so expect to see more of that, and those that have the copyright for it, they're going to make a killing.
Oh, and that's Lucasfilm, I believe.
Yep.
Isn't it?
That's Disney.
That's Disney.
Yeah.
And Mr. Tickle Trunk sends in a Canadian $2, and I actually have this. So we didn't even have to read it. We actually have a...
Well, this also shows another avenue of... I'm surprised that they didn't announce this in their investors meeting, but this technology, because it is proprietary to Disney, this allows them to start renting out their stuff to other studios and whatnot to be another source of income.
Yeah, I think they mentioned it, but they didn't have to mention it, kind of thing. And I think that's what KK was saying about the building of the new one in wherever it was she mentioned.
I think that the new one they're building to lease to others and use that as a source of revenue. And let's just face it, like for instance, if there's to be a Dune 2, that's how they're going to do it. There's no other choice.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think besides Robert Meyer Burnett, I've heard from other people that like there is like a waiting list to get in to use this tech. So
as theme parks collapse and are no longer viable, they'll convert that space over to more and more of these stages, and the theme park revenue will get turned over into studio rental revenue for other teams to come in and use these stages. It's a brilliantly insidious move on Disney's part. Well played, Disney. Well played.
Well, they may have to go that route.
Oh yeah. No, I'm being only half sarcastic.
I know, right? Yeah, you're only being a little facetious. I know. Yeah. Phil Moore sends in $5. Rogue or Death Knight for my World of Warcraft class to play. I'm not a big World of Warcraft fan, so I can't answer that one. Any of you guys play World of Warcraft?
I played it back when it was first out, but I can't remember the Death Knight thing. I remember the Rogue, but not the Death Knight. Not sure. I'm not sure where World of Warcraft is these days, so I don't want to make a suggestion.
I have never played a role-playing game in my life, and I defer to your wisdom by not making a suggestion.
Script?
So I can't help.
World of Warcraft, never. I got into the original Warcraft games from the strategy, building the base and attacking people games. I never got into the World of Warcraft stuff, so I'm fortunate.
All right, well, since Phil sent us a super chat, I'm going to say Death Knight because it sounds cool.
I think that's fair. I'll back you on that. I'll second Death Knight.
I think that works. And it looks like Mr. Tickle Trunk was happy we had that video for him. And then there was like one other not super chat, but chat I was going to address here. And I think it's, where'd it go? Basically, it was, I think it was Sander asking if ILM went with the deal. Yes, it went with the Disney deal. I can't find the actual.
Yeah, that was included. It was included in the deal.
Yeah, it's the whole thing.
Yep, it was a whole shebang.
And that actually was hugely beneficial because that actually allows them to keep costs within the corporation. Because unlike all of Disney's sub studios
and Marvel,
have to,
all that stuff,
so that was a great investment in that thing.
Because I think they also did the stuff for Lion King and stuff too, didn't they?
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken.
I'm pretty sure they used some of the stuff for that. Yeah.
And ActionCom sends in $5. Says, how many old special effects technologies can be repurposed in the 21st century? Oh, several. And Mandalorian's a great example of where they use a lot of different types. I mean, they still use. Well, obviously, Baby Yoda's a puppet, and they still use models. They still use a lot of different stuff. Lord of the Rings utilized a lot of different stuff still, surprisingly. You can use a lot still.
The Force... Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Tom.
No, I was just going to say, there's a lot you can do. Go ahead.
Well, you can also use force projection a lot easier with this too, because what you can do if you wanted to make another Lord of the Rings style thing is if you have a Hobbit character in one stage, and then you sync up to another guy like an elf in another stage, and they can actually watch each other's performance live in real time, and they can have the same force perspective for sizes done on the screen, and the cameras are synced up, and they just record digitally, so they don't even have to worry about the post production for that.
Oh, so this would have helped the Hobbit so much, probably.
Yeah, it just cuts down on all that post production time because it's happening. And on top of that, too, the only thing the actor has to really kind of figure out is how to redo the eye line for that, because again, they're acting against a screen that might not be fully in sync with the other actors, so they got to play around with that, which I think will take some practice. But yeah, you can do a lot with this studio in a practical sense.
Yeah, the original question was what kind of old school tools can still be used, but like a lot of them. There's quite a few. The only things that are really kind of out of date that you really wouldn't use anymore are like old school optics, unless you were trying to get some kind of specific look. But even then, you probably can still do it quicker in a computer, and cheaper. Yeah, I mean, really, there's a lot of effects you could still do to this day, and they still use.
Yeah, moving split screens and
yeah.
Even this technology we're showcasing right here from The Mandalorian is really just an evolution of the original process screen.
Absolutely.
From the 20s and 30s. Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of stuff they still use to this day. Like I said, the only things that are really kind of completely out of date are just like optical work. Really, it's all just done digitally now. It's so much cheaper and quicker. Then Silver Nova sends in one more super chat here. We got an Australian $5. Says thanks for of your honest and interesting info lately. Well, thank you for listening. 4 to 6 a.m. is definitely morning here. Oh, evidently you're where it's a little earlier yet for you. Well, we tried to pick a time of day where it was best for as many people as possible. So
it's a big world and many time zones. So yeah, we realized that midnight's edge in the morning is really, 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 really early morning in Australia. But
absolutely, yeah. Yes. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
And speaking of time and how much time we've taken, I want to thank Michael because he's been a trooper. I know he probably did not expect to be here almost 3 hours.
Oh, but like I said on the last one, when I know that I'm coming on Midnight's Edge or another live stream with a certain handful of channels that are my friends, I always make sure that I've got a big block of time because I kind of like the not knowing. It's like, will this be a 90-minute thing? Will it be, a 9-hour thing? I don't know. So let's clear the runway and let's just let it ride. So I'm fine. I'm good.
Well, I'm glad to hear that because we were glad to have you here, and you're always welcome back, of course. And I'm sure I'll set up another date in the near future for you to come back again. And we know we're going to have you back for some Bond reviews as well. We hope to pick up on those soon because we haven't been able to do them the last every other week. We've been able to do them, but I think we're going to have to do like 2 in the next one just to kind of get caught up.
Oh, I'm going to prep. If you grace me with an invite for that, I'm going to prep. I have a few optional extras installed for that. So
awesome. Well, the next one we're doing is going to be Thunderball and Goldfinger, I think, because Goldfinger is the next one, but I think we're going to do
Goldfinger is the next one.
Yeah, but I think we're going to do 2 in 1.
Nice.
I think just so we can get kind of caught up. But other than that, we'll definitely get a hold of you, and everybody should check out Retroblasting. The link is in the description, and I shared it earlier in the chat as well. Do head over there. Michael does great work on not just toy videos, but you do other pop culture and movie stuff as well, don't you?
Yes, I do. I just recently dropped a video. I hate that word dropped. I recently posted a video a few days ago that you saw, Tom, about sort of things
NECA.
People aren't the NECA toy company, and what people aren't paying attention to in the fine print about NECA. So that's, while it's still toy related, it's more a high level look at a corporation, which is something that I do on my channel a lot. I did one about Disney and Iger and corporate culture. So yeah, I do a variety of things.
Yeah, you've done some great work.
Thank you.
And yeah, the NECA one, I didn't even know some of the revelations you show in that one. So check that video out. It is a great video on top of all the other stuff he's always done. And of course, Script Doctor as well, our fifth Beatle, but he also has his own channel. And I know you've been dropping your reviews lately as well, which you work very hard on. Anything else you're working on that you want to plug real quick?
Yeah, I'm all caught up with Star Trek Discovery and Mandalorian. So the 2 episodes that just dropped the last day and a bit, I'm working on those for next week. So yeah, keep an eye out for that.
I'm dreading watching Star Trek Discovery. I have not.
And we have to do double reviews of both Star Wars and Star Trek.
I watched Star Wars this morning. It was all right.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one yet, but we didn't do for last week with Fat Mando, with Boba. So we have to do that as well. So yeah, which I do not mind. I just want to point one out.
Well, he looks a little bit better this episode, sort of, kind of. But anyhow, no, it was all right. So be sure to check back for those reviews. I'm sure we'll be doing those real soon. Outside of that, check out these guys' channels. And until next time, is there anything you want to talk about real quick, Andre, or are we good to go?
Just want to say thanks to our guests for joining us.
Absolutely.
Always a pleasure to have both of you here. And thanks to everyone in the chat for joining us as well. We're so glad that you decided to make us part of your day. Check back. We're probably going to have a live interview or something like that over the course of the weekend. And no matter what, we'll be back Monday at the same time. So do check that out.
And until next time, take care of yourselves and each other.